Welcome to the race.
And the lights are out. Great start then.
The Moto2 champion steps into the team that's dominating the championship.
I'm Scott Mitchell from the race. We're here at Barcelona.
Sebastian Vettel is fighting for his career.
There has to be a title assault, and anything less will be a failure.
Oh, and a spin!
We lost the GoPro.
It's a mental game. It's about staying calm, staying focused.
I was like, well, don't do anything stupid because my life could be in danger.
We've got the best gamers in the world. We're trying to find the guy who can race to the top in a real car.
We are not in a video game anymore. It's a real racetrack, and it's dangerous.
I think I have the ability to be a real racing driver.
It's a one-time opportunity that you'll never forget.
Hello and welcome to the race and the third round of the All-Star Esports Battle. Thank you very much for joining us here and spending your afternoon watching some racing with real-world motorsport on a little bit of a hold. We're convinced and trying to give you more action as we come through the next couple of weeks. My name is Jack Nicholls. Alongside, well, not alongside me, but not even near me, also with me talking is Jolyon Palmer. I'm in my shed at the bottom of the garden, Jimmy Broadbent style. Jolyon, where are you?
I'm in a shell of a house actually at the moment. So my Wi-Fi is pretty bad, and this is first world problems in Corona time. So I've come to my sister's where there is nothing but some good Wi-Fi. So I'm here.
Okay, yeah, great. How have you been enjoying the esports battles so far?
Loving it, to be fair. It's been some really good battles, exciting racing all the way. What I love is just seeing the comparison between the real drivers and the sim drivers as well. And Felix Rosenqvist, Danny Junqueira did a really good job last time out. Can we see them even get ahead of some of those sim races this time?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the interesting thing to watch for, isn't it? As they get closer and closer, the real drivers and the sim drivers. We've got an even stronger lineup for you as well as all the favourites that we've had over the last couple of weeks. We've got some new entries: Stoffel Vandoorne, Esteban Gutiérrez, Colton Herta, Juan Pablo Montoya, all back for another crack. But we've also got a Legends race, which is really exciting, actually. They're racing Brabham BT44s around the Silverstone circuit. And in this, we've got Montoya's entering that race as well, but we've got Emerson Fittipaldi, we've got Dario Franchitti, we've got Paul Tracy, we've got Elio Castroneves. It's a startling lineup, Jolyon.
Yeah, really excited for it. I think that's going to be a battle like we've not seen it, really. I don't suppose these guys have done a lot of sim driving at all. They wouldn't have grown up on sims like the current drivers would have done. So really looking forward to seeing how they all get on.
And there'll be such cool cars to watch as well, because they're sliding all over the place, unlike the sort of more stable US cars that we'll see the actual competition taking place in. Why aren't you in the Legends race?
You know what? Dario Franchitti's made the Legends race, and maybe he's more of a legend in the IndyCar stakes, but one co-com's in the Legends race and one commentating on the Legends race is a bit of a kick in the teeth, to be fair. So maybe next time, maybe. In a few years. We need the commentators race still. I'm still pushing for the commentators race.
Yeah, that's a fair point. We need the commentators race. We'll sort that out at some point in the future. So this is the third round. We had the first round at the Nürburgring a couple of weeks ago, won by Jerne Simončić. Rudy van Buren won last time out. And here's a look back at the highlights from round 2 at Indianapolis.
The race gets underway. They all spread out. And Siggy, is he going to get done around the outside? No, Rudy van Buren's in second place. Someone's gone off across the grass. Siggy's leading, but here comes Rudy van Buren to the outside, onto the brakes into turn 1. Can van Buren take the lead? He can indeed. Very late on the brakes for Pinto as he goes up the inside of Sebastian Job, takes third place. Job's on the grass, comes back on. Rosenqvist in the green car, trying to get past Danny Junqueira down into turn 1. 2 Formula 3 European champions going wheel to wheel. Former Porsche Super Cup champion Philipp Eng slots his way into 7th position. Now he's laid on the brakes and he's through. Sebastian Job up into 3rd place. Nuno Pinto up the inside. Job fancies it. Round the outside at turn 1, and he's still got the inside for 2, and they're round. Oh, he's still trying to find the inside, Junqueira. He's done it. Rosenqvist will be fuming with that one. Rosenqvist is going to hug that white line the whole way around. They have a bit of contact, I think, on the straight. And it's a superb victory for Rudy van Buren.
Well, really entertaining racing last time out, wasn't it? And we've got 6 races to bring you this time around. It's going to be really, really cool. Similar format to last week, but of course we've got the Legends race involved as well. We've got the Pro Driver race up first of all, a 12-minute race where the top 5 will go straight to the grand final. The same is true of the second race. The Sim Driver race, we've got 20 drivers in that. The top 5 go straight through to the final. Then we've got the Jones Soda last chance qualifier for all the pro drivers. And then, just as the little appetite whetter before the grand final, we've got the Legends Trophy. And then 6:10 UK time, it will be the grand final. So that's going to be the format for the race. Really looking forward to this one and just how competitive it's going to be. Let's talk a little bit more about the Legends race. Emerson Fittipaldi, Jan Magnussen, Dario Franchitti, Elio Castroneves, Paul Tracy. And it's going to be fascinating, Jolyon, to see these guys fight it out, because that racecraft might not necessarily be there in the simulated world.
Well, I think the racecraft never leaves you. I think once you're a racer, you're always a racer.
I've just noticed the helmet and trophy you've put up behind you.
Yes, there we go. Good spot for the Eagle Eye. Sorry, it's that way. That's I just thought I'd bring a couple of props along. You know, the racer never leaves you, and there you go.
Yeah.
So other side. Anyway, I think they'll be okay in terms of racing instinct, but simulator driving is something they won't be used to. So it's difficult. I think it's very different. My dad had to go on simulator, so he raced in Formula 1 in the 80s. He hopped on a simulator. This is sort of like 8 years ago, GP2 times, and he hopped on, and I had to say he found it difficult. So for these guys, they're so long out of it that simulator was never a part of their world. How quickly can they dial in? We're going to find out.
Let's have a look at the full entry list for the Legends Trophy then. As I say, we've got those big names out there of Dario Franchitti and Elio Castroneves, but we've also got Tony Kanaan, who we saw a couple of weeks ago, Jan Magnussen, former Formula One driver, Thiago Monteiro, a man with 11 World Touring Car Championship wins, Emanuele Pirro is going to be exciting to watch, although obviously I don't think he was a Formula E and a Formula 2 champion, but a multiple Le Mans winner, Max Papis, Andy Priaulx, Darren Turner, Adrian Fernandez, David Brabham, Gilles de Ferran. We've got at least 5 Indy 500 wins in there, actually 2 for Montoya, so we're already up to 7 before we've even started thinking about anyone other than 3 drivers. So really, really impressive entry list. And let's have a look at some of the highlight drivers that we're going to be seeing. Johnny Herbert, I think, is going to be fun because he raced in the F1 esports event last weekend, and he misbehaved a little bit, cut the corner at turn 1. So we'll see whether they're going to be up to any mischief. The Silverstone circuit, Jolyon, talk to us about that.
Silverstone National, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a very short lap, basically 4 corners. Cops, Maggots, Beckett's, which is kind of a left into a right-hand hairpin. Long slog down to Brooklands and then Luffield, the final corner. I'm actually quite excited for it, to be honest, because the field will be so close. It'll be milliseconds separating probably first down half the grid. So the overtake opportunities should be high. Lots of long straights as well. So I think we're actually going to be in for some thrilling racing. I think I'm excited for it.
Yeah, there's overtaking opportunities at pretty much every corner on the Silverstone National Circuit. Like I say, the Legends will be racing in the Brabham BT44s, which are a classic race car from the sort of early through to the mid 1970s. They're going to be very different to the kind of things that we are used to seeing, especially when we compare it to the professionals and the sim racers racing in those US 2000 cars, which actually last time out proved to be a lot of fun, didn't they?
They're cool. They were nice cars. We had some really good racing last time out. And it's kind of natural. We started off with the old F1 2012 cars in the Nürburgring, and then changed to Indianapolis, the road course last time out, changed the car as well. Far less power in these cars now, but that means you've got much better chance to slipstream. That was a big factor last time out in Indianapolis as well. Believe me, it'll be a big factor at Silverstone because there's so many long straights, few corners to try and break that slipstream as well. So they're good fun. I think it was really enjoyable racing.
So we're only about 3 or 4 minutes from the start of the qualifying session for Group 1, and I'll just read you some of the drivers out in Group 1. We got Jonny Adam, Jimmy Broadbent, Nick Cassidy, Juan Manuel Correa is back in that one. We got Tom Dillman, Charlie Eastwood, Sophia Floersch entering the fray. Maxime Martin in there as well. Jimmy Broadbent, the esports racer, is back with us. Tom Dillman, the Formula 2 race winner in the past. And so some of these drivers are familiar and some of them are a little bit new for us. James Headley, the British F4 and Ginetta Junior champion from last year, is entering the series as well. So who are you looking for in this heat, Jolyon? I think this is going to be... No one actually really stands out for me in this one.
John Cadea. I mean, he won last time, didn't he, from the pro races? So I think he's probably going to be the favourite heading into this one. But he wasn't so good in Nürburgring round 1. So what sort of consistency can he bring? And generally, the field is relatively stable. So there's a few new entries, the likes of Sophia Floersch, which is good to see. But the others might start to get a bit of experience now and build up a bit of a head of steam.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really interesting thing, isn't it? As we said earlier, about how it will progress over the course of the season, with the real racers getting more and more to grips with the sim racing world. We're also joined in this race today by esports commentator, mainly on Counter-Strike, but I'm sure you guys will know him as Sadokist. Matt Trivett is with us. Matt, how much are you looking forward to the racing this afternoon?
Oh, very much so. I echo what Jolyon said right at the start, that, this is week 3. There's no more excuses for the real guys. I think, Jolyon, you would agree that after 3 weeks in any given car, you should be up to speed. So I'm kind of looking forward to who's going to take the next step. Young Cadea was great last time out. Obviously, Felix was the standout on week 1. Maybe one of those two guys might be able to actually catch and beat some of these sim guys.
So we know you, like I say, mainly as a Counter-Strike commentator, but it looks as though you might do a bit of sim racing, judging by the rig behind you.
It's faster than me. Let's just say that. I do a little bit. I dabble in it, but there's a reason I'm here with you guys and not in the race itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about the Legends race? Are any of those, legends that you really looked up to when you were younger?
Tons. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's actually, for me, the highlight of the day. How cool is it that, we've got guys, especially a guy like Emerson Fittipaldi, who I think is 73 years old now, who's going to jump in a simulator, something that didn't even exist in his time, let alone a computer, was just primitive technology. And I think for these guys, not only is it, yes, the race are getting back into it, they'll be competitive, but it's kind of a bunch of mates, a bunch of friends, guys you would never expect to be on the same track. And we get to do that through sim. And there's some interesting storylines as well, because Emerson's actually the father-in-law of Max Pappas. Dario's going to be in there. You've got Paul Tracy, who tends to be quite aggressive. I think that one's going to be the most messy, but perhaps the most entertaining in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're doing a lot with the race at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, quite a bit. Obviously, we're all stuck at home. Fortunately, the internet and gaming is an incredible thing that allows us to connect. I mean, we've got Mardenborough in Japan, me in Canada, you guys in the UK. So given my situation, yeah, I've been doing a bunch of interviews for the race and specifically for the esports battles, and you can check those out on the channel. And then I've also got a really high level vlog about the incredible pro racing that I do called Let's Go Grassroots. I think the name kind of sums that up for you. But yeah, I've been working with them for a bit. I also did some behind the scenes with World's Fastest Gamer in season 2.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for joining us, Matt, and we'll speak to Matt over the course of the race. World's Fastest Gamer, by the way, the third iteration of World's Fastest Gamer is beginning soon. So download Gear Club app on iOS and Android if you want to get involved and have the chance to win the third World's Fastest Gamer competition. Rudy van Buren, the winner of the World's Fastest Gamer first competition, is going to be out in a little bit of time. I think he's in the second race, Rudy van Buren, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do. But qualifying for the first race will be underway fairly soon, I would have thought. And as we say, Danny Juncadella is the man to... No, sorry, Rudy van Buren's out in this first race. So actually, he's going to be a man to beat because he took pole position and the win last time out. And the lap times, Jolyon, were already super tight around Indianapolis on quite a big circuit. Silverstone National, these times are going to be crazy close.
Yeah, that's what's going to be great about this, though. They're all going to be so close. Rudy van Buren, I didn't see him on that list, but yeah, so that's already, we're going to get a, he is on the list. But we're going to get immediately the matchup between Juncadella and Van Buren, who were respectively the best outright and the best of the pro races last time. But yes, it's going to be, if anyone gets pole by a 10th, they've done a great job on this circuit. That's how close it's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're just waiting for qualifying to get underway. As ever, it will be the private qualifying session. So everybody goes out there, does their one hot lap, and then comes back into the pits, and that'll decide the grid for the 12-minute race. And the first two races last time, Jolyon, were fairly calm, weren't they? Because once you got into that top 5, you were sort of happy to stay there. But I don't think you'll be able to gap. I don't think we'll see the sort of groups emerge the way we did in Indianapolis.
It depends. You're desperate for a break, basically. And as soon as I think there was the sim race, the sim racers race last time out, there was a big group for 6, and then one person dropped off it, and then it was a group for 5, and then everyone chilled out, basically. When it was 6, when it's any more than 5, everyone goes crazy because you have to be in that top 5 to get into the final. But as soon as the top 5 have got the break, they don't want to risk it anymore. And we've seen a little bit more of that recently. But I think you're right. I think it's going to be so difficult for anyone to make a break at the front that it could be a really long train. And if you're 5th, you're not safe, unlike last time.
Okay, well, we've got about 20 seconds till qualifying. So let's have a look at some of our gamers in their rigs getting ready to go. I think we've got Jimmy Broadbent up first, getting ready in his shed. There he is. He's live streaming. Oh, has he got the same headset as me? He might have the same headset as me, you know. Classy guy, Jimmy Broadbent. He's got his gloves on. And,
he's got some fancy gloves, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, he goes fully on it with the gloves and the seat, and he's quite upright though. You'll see a lot of the drivers are really, leaned back like like a classic single-seater. Nicki Thiim, didn't see a huge amount of Nicki Thiim in the last race, I feel. But look, he's got the full 3 wraparound screens, which is quite something, isn't it? And he's just escaped there, but you could see it all moving in the background. He too, like Palmer, has placed the little helmet behind. What's the trophy behind you, by the way? What's the trophy?
That is actually in homage to Bradley Smith and Steve Alvarez-Brown, So Steve Alvarez-Brown, I raced against in the Bayford Minimax Winter Series as well.
Oh, wow.
And he posted on Instagram yesterday, I think. An old video is actually him overtaking me from the karting days. So I thought I'd bring in my novice trophy from age 13 karting, Bayford Meadows Minimax, and that's the trophy there. So it's only a small one, but it's in homage to a couple of races that both out in Heat 2.
There is the winner of the 2nd edition of the World's Fastest Gamer, getting ready to go and head out onto the track, and we'll see what James Baldwin can do in this race. He too, he was involved with the pro drivers more than the sim drivers last time out, James Baldwin, but just having a last-minute check on his phone. All these guys have their own streams. Obviously, you want to watch our stream, but if you want to go back and check the streams later, then do so, because they can be quite entertaining watching people's reactions. So we're just a few moments away from the qualifying getting underway. And as I say, it'll be 1 lap around here. I haven't seen the server and I haven't seen the actual lap times that they're doing. But here we go. We've got Rudy van Buren out on circuit first of all then. And he's about to come across the line to start a flying lap. Here he comes down into Copse Corner. No, I think that might be his first run. So a 50.637 then for Rudy van Buren, just over a 10th ahead of Guenther. All the lap times now flying in. Juncker in 3rd, Charlie Eastwood 4th. Stoffel Vandoorne goes up into 2nd place, just half a 10th away from Rudy van Buren. Sophia Floersch 9/10 of a second away. But I suppose unsurprisingly, it's Rudy van Buren that's on provisional pole position at the moment.
Yep, still Tom Dillman to come through. He was quite quick last week, but hasn't done a time. Jimmy Broadbent as well. And look how close the times are as well. Van Buren just half a 10th up ahead of Vandoorne. Guenther as well ahead of Juncker.
So there is Rudy van Buren. Now, they might get a couple of laps in here, you know. I think he's coming across the line again, Rudy van Buren. He did a 50.6 last time. Does he improve? No, yes, he does. Takes it down to a 50.5. So I think in the past we've had, it's almost seemed like 1 lap qualifying because it's only been 5 minutes long and the lap is 1 minute 45, let's say. So you've only got really time to put one in. But here around this Silverstone National Circuit where they swing right down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands, it looks like we're getting a couple of laps in. So this is going to run this battle. And I guess it just depends how the tyres perform at their peak, because the cars will be getting lighter as the fuel comes out.
Yeah, and how much fuel they put in the first place as well. So this is how short the lap is. Van Buren's about to come out of the final corner and set another lap. And in that meantime, no one's able to respond. So he's opened the gap. Juncker, I think, it was Nicki Thiim went up to 5th. Can Van Buren improve this time around from a 50.5? He doesn't that time, but he's now up to nearly 2/10 clear of Vandoorne, who doesn't seem like he's responded.
No, so Vandoorne in 2nd, Max Guenther 3rd at the moment. Juncker is in 4th, but I don't know if he's left the session, to be honest with you, because he's greyed out there, so he might have just done his 1 lap and that's it. Nicki Thiim in 5th, Eastwood in 6th position. There is Nicki Thiim that we're watching here, coming into Brooklands and then into the double right-hander of Luffield, and then out across the start-finish straight. Here comes Nicki Thiim out across the line. Does he improve from 5th position? He's 3/10 away from Rudy van Buren at the moment. He goes 3rd. So just 2/10 away from Van Buren. Still a little bit of drift, but still up into 3rd place for Nicki Thiim is a good result. Wolfgang Reip is there in 3rd position. Obviously, we've got the top 8 covered by just half a second at the moment. And this is Gabby Chaves coming into turn 1. Looks a little sideways. Chaves has got up into 8th place because it was about 6 seconds away, Chaves, initially, but has now managed to find a little bit more speed on this run. All these cars.
That's the critical corner there that he just went through. That's going to be so crucial to get onto this long straight, the main overtaking area. We're about to be the end of qualifying, so I think Van Buren's lap is safe. But for the race where Chaves is coming into, Brooklands and then Luffield is going to be critical. Broadbent, I think, just jumped up to 12th just at the end of that, and Chaves won't have a chance to improve.
Okay, so Rudy van Buren takes pole position. Gabby Chaves, in the end, the 2014 Indy Lights champion, managing to get up into 8th position, but not quite close enough to the front. So Van Buren on pole, Vandoorne 2nd, Team 3rd, Guenther 4th, Reip in 5th, and then it is Juncadella, Eastwood, Chaves, Benyahia. Now, I don't know who the mystery driver is in 10th position. So if anybody does, let me know, because I'm not in the server this time. Before, it was Tony Kanaan who'd done a little bit of jiggery pokery with his. Oh, is there a car number there? Number 9. So that no, but number 9 on my list is Floersch. So I don't know who that is. But here's a lineup of the grid for the first heat. Then the top 5 will go straight through to the final. Rudy van Buren on pole position, Stoffel Vandoorne alongside him on the front row of the grid. Nicki Thiim in 3rd. 4th is Maxi Guenther. Then it is Wolfgang Reip in 5th. Danny Juncadella is in 6th place. Charlie Eastwood in 7th spot with Gabby Chaves in 8th position. Who's in 9th? It's Benyahia, and then it's Max in 10th position. So I wonder if that's Maxime Martin. I reckon that's Maxime Martin is the no-name driver in 10th spot. Jonny Adam, 13th on the grid. Sophia Floersch, 14th. James Headley in 15th place. Juan Manuel Correa is in 16th spot. As we move towards the back of the field, Juan Manuel Correa a little bit off the pace. James Headley, the Ginetta Junior champion, in 15th position. And we're about to get going with the first race then. The top 5 goes straight through to the final as the race gets underway. Down towards the first corner, Rudy van Buren holds the lead into Copse for the first time. Vandoorne slots into 2nd position. And still Nicki Thiim in 3rd place. A few cars running wide at Copse corner as they now come into Maggots and Beckett's and then loop through the right-hander back out onto the Wellington straight. But a good, clean start for Rudy van Buren.
Yeah, Juncadella hasn't joined the race, I don't think. So he's off. And someone went off to the right, long way as well. But Van Buren's done the main thing. He's 6/10 clear ahead of Vandoorne already. So that's a nice little breather. But Vandoorne's got a bit of a breather as well, back to Team. So can he now try and get his head down? And behind, there's already battling side by side. It's Guenther and Chaves through Luffield.
Rudy van Buren coming out and over the line, and he's managed to get 0.8 of a second at the end of the first lap there over Stoffel Vandoorne. That's impressive stuff from Rudy van Buren. This is the close battle at the moment with Gabby Chaves just behind Max Guenther.
Yeah, the thing for Vandoorne is he's not under any pressure behind as well. So he's got a chance to not have to defend, use that slipstream if he just about can to get onto the case of Van Buren. There's a move there.
Side by side as they come down towards the left-hander of Brooklands. Vandoorne in 2nd, Thiim in 3rd. It's still side by side as they come into the left-hander. And Gabby Chaves in 6th place. Behind Max Guenther, Manuel Correa is dropping down the order a little bit. Jimmy Broadbent's up into 7th place. We're on board with Gabby Chaves, trying to chase down Max Guenther as they come towards Copse corner to start lap 3. You can see the effects of the slipstream there, can't you? Really coming in, and Guenther has to cover the inside line. Chaves to the outside at Copse. That's not going to work out. Could put him under pressure from Jimmy Broadbent. Chaves, big slide, and Broadbent goes through.
Yeah, he just got on the curb on the outside there, Chaves. Fully committed. Oh, and has he just hit the back of Broadbent as well? I think maybe down at Beckett's. So it's all getting a bit much there. Broadbent's gone through. Guenther survives in 5th place, and that's the critical one. But look ahead. There's now a big gap that 4th place man, Wolfgang Reip, is just breached. So the battle is going to be 5th. The top 4 looks steady, but Reip is right on the back of Nicki Thiim as well. So there could be a bit of fireworks here. That slipstream effect was huge.
Yeah, Thiim just went a little bit wide on the exit of Luffield, and here is the slipstream for Wolfgang. He goes to the inside. Thiim doesn't fight him too hard. Still got to get the job done into Copse corner. Thiim tries to hang it around the outside, but Wolfgang Reip is through and up into 3rd position then. And then it's that big gap back to Max Guenther in 5th, Jimmy Broadbent in 6th. So close to each other as they come through Beckett's and out onto the Wellington straight again. Rudy van Buren 1.4 seconds ahead of Stoffel Vandoorne as we stay on board here with Nicki Thiim right behind as they come into Brooklands.
Yeah, just got to try and get a good run through Luffield. This corner now, long right-hander. You can do a couple of lines through it. Team really opened it up, but I think didn't quite get a perfect exit either. Now we're on board in the top corner. Let's see how much of a slipstream we can get. Look at it, just getting closer and closer. Wolfgang Reip not going to have to defend into Copse corner this time, though. And actually, Team got a bit out of shape just behind him.
Lap 5 of 11. It's the top 5 that progress through to the final. And at the moment, that's Rudy van Buren in first place, Stoffel Vandoorne in second position, Wolfgang Reip in third, with Nicki Thiim right behind him in fourth, and Max Guenther in fifth, who's just managed to break away from Jimmy Broadbent. He's about a second clear now of Broadbent, and Broadbent is coming under pressure from the 2014 Indy Lights champion, Gabby Chaves. Jonny Adam then behind in 8th spot, but Nicki Thiim trying to get back past Wolfgang Reip as they come through the right-hander of Luffield and out onto the start-finish straight again to start lap 6 of 11. And obviously, guys, we're aware that there's no in-game audio for you at the moment, and we're trying to get on top of that. So bear with us. We've seen the YouTube comments, and we'll try and sort that out. Don't worry. Lap 6 of 11. Rudy van Buren leading the way. 2.2 seconds ahead of Stoffel Vandoorne in second, Reip in third. This is Jimmy Broadbent then in 6th position. I think he's going to be under a bit of pressure now from Gabby Chaves.
Yeah, Chaves needs to make this through. He was in 6th earlier on, remember, lost out that position when he had that huge lurid moment on the exit of Copse. But now he's got to come through as quick as possible past Broadbent, because Broadbent just doesn't quite seem as quick as Max Guenther ahead. Guenther in that critical 5th place, the one that's going to see him through to the final. At the moment, Broadbent and Chaves are just going to miss out. Chaves looks the quicker. Here we go. Can he get a run on the back of Broadbent down towards Copse? Not quite this time. He's too far back.
That is Jimmer in the bottom left on his stream as he comes down into the Magus Beckett's complex again. And he's in a decent position here, Broadbent, because he might be in 6th place and missing out as it stands. But any issue for one of the drivers in front, and he advances through to the final as they come down into the left-hander again at Brooklands. But here comes Chaves. Not quite. Close enough. Rudy van Buren, 2.5 seconds up the road now from Stoffel Vandoorne. This is a very commanding drive from Rudy van Buren out in front. Still close between Broadbent and Chaves. Still close between Wolfgang Reip and Nicki Thiim.
Yeah, Van Buren's absolutely cruising this one. I said before, if anyone gets on pole by a 10th, they've done a great job. Well, Van Buren was nearly 2 tenths on Vandoorne by the time he did a second lap. And actually, this race has been seamless for him. Took a good lead at the start. Vandoorne never able to stick in the slipstream. But Vandoorne's also got it easy as well. So the first two look absolutely settled. Reip and Thiim are quite close for third. But right now, Broadbent and Chaves need something to happen with them because they're not getting close to Guenther. Here we go, they're on the back straight.
Broadbent covers the inside. Dramatic look to the inside from Chaves. And he's through. Oh, they bang wheels. And Chaves still manages to make the move past. So Jimmy Broadbent drops down into 7th position now then behind Gabby Chaves. And up into 6th position for Chaves. So the top, and that was allowed Max Guenther quite a bit of breathing space now. So Van Buren, Vandoorne, Reip, Thiim and Guenther still the top 5 that will advance straight through. And then it is Broadbent behind Chaves in 6th and 7th, Jonny Adam 8th, Juan Manuel Carrera in 10th, Tom Dillman in 10th position, Sophia Floersch in 11th, Maxime Martin in 12th, Charlie Eastwood, Ben Yahia and Headley, the top 15. But we haven't really spoken about it a huge amount. You mentioned it at the start, Jolyon, but Danny Juncadella not making it through. Hopefully he can get in for the last chance qualifier, though, and still have a shot at being in the final.
Absolutely, yeah. He was one of the ones I was looking out for at the start of this, but never taking part and only doing that first qualifying lap as well. So maybe a mechanical issue, let's say, for Danny Juncadella. Chaves, that was a good move there on Broadbent. Broadbent, I think Jimmer was a little gesticulation when we saw his camera, but I don't think Chaves did anything wrong there. He was clean up the inside into Brooklands, and Jimmer slightly turned in on him as well there. So good move from Chaves. He is now, though, 1.6 seconds off Guenther, and there's only another lap after this one remaining, so it might be a little bit too little too late this time.
Lap 10 of 11. Rudy van Buren leading the way, 3.2 seconds ahead of Stoffel Vandoorne. Then it's this third and fourth place fight between Wolfgang Reip and Nicki Thiim. Wolfgang, former winner of the Nissan GT Academy, a pro champion in the Blancpain Endurance Series, along with Alex Buncombe, who was due to be racing in the Legends race later on, but I'm not sure if he is now. There was certainly talk of him doing it. Rudy van Buren, though, is on to his final lap.
All right, here we go then. Van Buren onto the final lap. I'll leave Buncombe surprise at the Legends race for another time. But yeah, Van Buren, 3.6 seconds, nice and easy this one. Absolutely no danger of him throwing this one away. And it's ominous, but we've still got 2 more heats and the regular sim races as well still to come, remember.
Yep, here comes Rudy van Buren then into the left-hander at Brooklands. Now the right-hander at Lovefield. Bit of a slide through there, but no trouble for Rudy van Buren, who out of the final corner books himself a place in the race All-Star Esports Battle Grand Final in commanding style across the line. 3.7 seconds ahead of Stoffel Vandoorne. Wolfgang Reip in third place. Fourth for Nicki Thiim. Fifth for Max Guenther. So Guenther across the line in fifth spot is the last qualifier. In the end, less than a second ahead of Gabby Chaves, but Chaves couldn't quite make it work. So Jimmy Broadbent in 7th place. So those top 5 straight through to the final. Everybody else will have another chance in the last chance qualifier, which will be coming about 25 past 5. So in about 45 minutes' time, we'll have the last chance qualifier. Sophia Floersch, Maxime Martin, Charlie Eastwood, and hopefully Danny Juncadella will be out there, because a real shame that he missed out that time. And we've got Rudy van Buren, then the winner, Stoffel Vandoorne, Reip, Thiim, and Guenther, the top 5 that will advance through. And now we turn our attention to Group 2. But a nice race, that one, Jolyon. Not a huge amount up at the front, but some good fights with Gabby Chaves and Jimmy Broadbent. And actually, the Wolfgang Reip Nicki Thiim fight was quite fun.
Yeah, it was nice. I have to say, that was a lot less chaotic than I was expecting. I think because Rudy van Buren got such a good lead straight away, Vandoorne couldn't really offer anything in terms of a battle for him, but Vandoorne in turn had a good lead over the following 2. It was all a bit sensible, that one, and I thought that the track might lend itself a bit better to overtaking. But that's just one race, and I think we've got many more still to come and a bit more action. But nice battles. Chaves did well, but ultimately he's going to be in that other heat to try and get through. Last gasp.
Yeah. So fingers crossed for those drivers who will look to advance through next time around. So Rudy van Buren, Vandoorne, Reip, Thiim, and Guenther advancing straight through. So if we turn our attention to race number 2, which is going to be the next batch of pro drivers, we've got James Baldwin, we've got Steve Alvarez-Brown, who Jolyon was talking about a little bit earlier on, Nyck de Vries, current Formula 2 champion, Philipp Eng. He's going to be a man to watch because he was very impressive previously in this competition. He also won the Formula 1 Virtual Grand Prix in Bahrain, did Philipp Eng. So he's certainly one to watch out for, the Red Bull athlete, the Austrian. Esteban Gutiérrez, we've got Archie Hamilton, Jann Mardenborough, and Felix Rosenqvist. Exciting to see what Felix Rosenqvist can do, because he and Juncadella were the 2 big ones last time.
Yeah, I think this is now the equivalent of Rosenqvist and James Baldwin as well, who should be one of the favourites into this heat. But yeah, you're right, Philipp Eng, he was new to this All-Star battle last week, but showed pretty well. And I expect he can make a challenge maybe to try and get on terms with Rosenqvist. Who knows, to try and get on terms with Baldwin and the rest, because actually the level of Rosenqvist and Juncadella, we didn't actually see that in that last heat, sadly. But it was really close last week to the best sim drivers. So, we've got another chance to see if they can do it.
We got someone waiting to talk to us in TeamSpeak. Didn't quite catch who it was, but we will go into TeamSpeak and see who's there. Well, let's go to Matt first. Matt, how did you enjoy that first race?
Yeah, I thought that was actually pretty well behaved. I agree. I was surprised. I thought Silverstone National would lend itself almost to being more of a karting race in some ways, because there's, as Jolyon alluded to, not a lot of corners, tons of drafting. But Van Buren was gone at the start. One thing I was surprised not to see was actually more people further down. Again, top 5 you're through. So having guys like Thiim and Guenther getting into a battle, there's no sense in that. But Broadbent obviously was holding up Chaves. If he'd maybe let him go sooner and worked with the draft, they might have been able to get together and actually catch up. And I thought some of the squabbling down the field cost some people. But that said, Vandoorne was a standout for me. He's improved a lot on sim. As I said, these guys have been now on for 3 weeks. He was someone that I was in a Discord with a few weeks ago that was clueless on how to even get into some of the games. So he's obviously made huge strides. And the other one that I was very impressed with was Jean-Manuel Carrera. There's a really good piece on this channel about his recovery and obviously him racing in Miami on sim. He's still obviously dealing with the leg injury, and he's, I think, braking and using the accelerator with his left foot right now, if I'm not mistaken. And he was up to 9th after starting, I think, 15th in that race. So really good performance from him.
Yeah, that was really impressive. So who are you looking for in this next group? Is it just the obvious people?
I think it is the obvious people. Yeah, I mean, I'm secretly hoping for Rosenqvist again. Shame we didn't see Jonny. I hope he makes it back for the last chance, because I want to see one of these real drivers really push the sim guys and give them that experience. But Baldwin's the standout, has to be. We had World's Fastest Gamer 1 win the first race. World's Fastest Gamer 2 maybe wins the second race. Perhaps there's something in that title.
You were a big part of World's Fastest Gamer 2. What was your sort of involvement in it?
So I did a lot of the behind the scenes content, more interaction directly with the drivers. Got a chance to drive the car and give my impressions on it, and just get to know them away from sort of the documentary that's obviously being filmed, because it is sort of a full production piece. So on the YouTube channel, on this side of things, we kind of got, I guess, one-on-one, more the human side. But I was very impressed with their maturity and their professionalism in approaching the car and how quickly they did get up to speed. And I got to say, I drove the car at the end, and the final 4 were like a second a lap faster than I was. I mean, I'm not the standard in a race car, let's say, but I was blown away that they were that quick, that fast.
Yeah, and World's Fastest Gamer 3, are you sort of involved in that? And have you played on Gear Club? Talk to us about Gear Club.
I have played on Gear Club. I'm on planes a lot, so it's a lot of my airplane entertainment. Really good game, actually. A lot of fun. This is the weird thing with it. It's not a sim, let's be honest. It's not physics, but it's racing, and there's still a means of finding the right line and doing it correctly. So that analytical mindset is still there. And obviously, Smiley Riley, as we call him, came into the last event, the World's Fastest Gamer 2, and nearly made the final. He was a huge surprise, and it was his improvement. And I think that analytical mind was actually present, because every time he got in the car, at the start, I'll say it, he was the slowest in the group. But by the end of the day, he was right there on the time. So huge opportunity. There's no reason I couldn't see someone coming from that game and actually making the final, maybe even making it into a car. And yeah, I definitely, I would download that and get involved, because hopefully I'm at World's Fastest Gamer 3 again. And I can tell you from the second one, that is a lifelong experience. That 12 to 14 days we spent in the desert in California, even for me, just being on the sidelines was some of the greatest experiences I've had, and the drivers you meet and the time on track and camaraderie between them. It was a ton of fun.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Matt. It's weird calling you Matt. Thank you very much, Sadokist. And we're underway. We're qualifying for race 2 now. As I say, Gear Club available on iOS and Android if you want to download that and get involved in World's Fastest Gamer. Here is Felix Rosenqvist coming across the line. And is this to set a lap time or to start a lap? Looks as though it's to start a lap then. And he's my favourite for pole position. Perhaps Sadokist disagrees and thinks that Baldwin is the one to go for. Palmer, your thoughts?
I would say Baldwin, but the way that Rosenqvist was warming his tyres on the back straight was fierce. Such a short outlap as well, and he's obviously wants to be absolutely bang on it for this first time. He's weaving like mad, and now comes down a little bit more normally, using all the curb on the entry into to Brooklands. He's looking good. He's been quick all the way through, Felix Rosenqvist, hasn't he? But didn't quite manage to beat Jonny. Did beat Max Verstappen week 1, though. Let's see what he can do. We've got some times coming in. Rosenqvist to the line.
Here he comes. Smith's done a 1 minute, not even a 1 minute, a 51.0. Rosenqvist goes slower than Philipp Eng. So Philipp Eng does a 50.7. Jones slots in there in second place, a quarter of a second behind. That's a big lap from Philipp Eng, isn't it?
Very good lap that, but we've still got 2 minutes 50 to go, remember, so that might not be it. Eng's still pushing. Gutiérrez jumps up to second place. The times are pretty close behind Eng, but Eng's lap is huge, nearly a quarter of a second up on anyone else.
So they'll continue to keep running, I would have thought, and we'll see whether they can carry on and improve their lap times as we wait to see Philipp Eng come across the line. Here he comes. Any improvement? Esteban Gutiérrez has gone second, and there goes James Baldwin to the top, just 200ths ahead of Philipp Eng. Jones jumps up into third place. Gutiérrez in fourth. We're watching Ronnie Bremer, who's coming around now. Are we going to see much of an improvement from Ronnie? Cuts the timing beam and goes up into 15th position then, does Ronnie. A reasonable lap time, a second away from the pace at the moment. But James Baldwin
Rosenqvist is tumbled down to 6th right now. Nearly 3/10 adrift. So Rosenqvist not improving. And Ronnie Bremer having a big spin there coming out of Beckett's as we cut away to Baldwin, trying to improve on his own PB.
1 minute 24 seconds left. Baldwin across the line, and he does manage to improve a little bit to a 1 minute 50 point. Sorry, I keep saying 1 minute. It's so rare you do a commentary where the laps are less than a minute. So he's done a 50.5. Eng just 700ths of a second away. We're seeing James Baldwin there on the inset. Jones in third, Gutiérrez fourth, Smith in fifth. And I think we might have lost Rosenqvist, you know. I think Rosenqvist might have disconnected. So that is going to be quite something if Rosenqvist is disconnected as well as Danny Juncadella. Wow.
Gives a chance to some others, you could argue. Yeah. But difficult for the two people that we were looking out for. And certainly Rosenqvist, he's greyed out and he's not able to, he's just, I think it's his time that's still 8th place, isn't it? Steve Alvarez-Brown goes up to 7th, my old karting rival. Philipp Eng still can't quite beat James Baldwin. And I think that's going to be that for qualifying with only 20 seconds left to go.
Yeah, so Baldwin on pole position as it stands, 700ths ahead of Philipp Eng, with Ed Jones in third position, Esteban Gutiérrez in fourth. Gutiérrez had a nice fun race in Indianapolis, actually, and so a fourth place spot is a good qualifying for him. That's Bradley Smith, who is in fifth position. Bruno Spengler in sixth place. He's a new driver for this weekend, so great to have Bruno Spengler here. And Alvarez-Brown 7th. So Baldwin is confirmed, who is on pole position for this race. Guys, we know that the in-game sound isn't working, so we are working on that. So apologies for that issue, but we're trying to work on it. James Baldwin then on pole position for the second race. Philipp Eng alongside him on the front row of the grid. Ed Jones and Esteban Gutiérrez are in third and fourth positions. Then we've got Bradley Smith in fifth place. Bruno Spengler in sixth. Seventh for Steve Alvarez-Brown, and James Davison is in eighth position. Then we've got Lachlan DeFrancesco in ninth spot. Nyck de Vries in 10th. 11th for Harry Tincknell. 12th is Archie Hamilton. So it's Harry Tincknell is one of the no-named drivers. Abbie Eaton in 13th position ahead of Juan Pablo Montoya, who's another of the no-named drivers on the list. So he's number 19. I shall make a note of that if I can find my pen. Then we've got Felix Rosenqvist 17th, Colton Herta 18th. Now we'll see with Rosenqvist because it looked as though he got DQ'd. So he might still be in this race. But we're about to get going then. James Baldwin on pole position, Philipp Eng alongside him on the front row of the grid. Wait for the lights. We won't be able to see the lights from this angle, but you'll see the marshal wave the green flag. And then that means the race will be underway. Quite a long hold. And a little bit of a twitch from Philipp Eng, and away they go. So I don't know if Eng will get a penalty for that, for a little bit of a jump start, but it is James Baldwin who gets the best start and moves into the first corner in the lead. Ed Jones up into second place. Eng drops down to third. Then it's Bradley Smith in fourth position. Esteban Gutiérrez is in fifth, but James Baldwin really the best at the start there and got away very well indeed. It looks as though Eng is back up into second position. Jones is in third. Fourth is Smith, and they're side by side for second place as they come down the straight into Brooklands. But James Baldwin has got quite a clear advantage. Ed Jones is still in second place ahead of Philipp Eng, just about.
Yeah, Eng didn't really get away from the start at all. He jumped slightly before, I think. He might have Sebastian Vettel Suzuki'd it from last year, caught himself out from the front row and ended up losing a place. And again, that's allowed James Baldwin loads of space to just run away with it, a la Rudy van Buren. Here we go for second.
Up the inside, still side by side between Eng and Jones. This is the kind of racing we were expecting from the Silverstone National Circuit as they come into Maggots and Beckett's now. Rosenqvist is in the race, so it looks as though it was just a DQ rather than a connection loss for Rosenqvist. So can he get up into the top 5 from 10th position? Baldwin leading the way. Second is Eng. Third is Jones. Fourth is Smith. Here they come down into the left-hander. Not 100% sure who's fifth, but hopefully we'll figure that out before too long. Doesn't matter, they've spun. And Ed Jones has been taken out in all of that and is dropping back down the order. No, the no-name driver is up into third place. Oh, Jones spins again. And that is going to really frustrate the IndyCar driver as he drops all the way down the order to 14th position. Baldwin leading.
That was both contacts with Bradley Smith there. The first one was he just turned in from the outside, so focused on Philipp Eng, turned in and found Bradley Smith having a nose in on the inside. Here we go, the replay. So look, last minute, Bradley Smith tucks into the inside and Ed Jones just turns in and gets his left rear tagged. And then I think he got going again and got hit by Smith again here. Look, yeah, Smith just on, to be fair, the inside line, nowhere else to go. And Jones just sort of drove across the track, not knowing he was coming with a bigger closing speed, and got hit again. So real disaster for Jones. He was having a great race.
Yeah, certainly was. And it is James Baldwin then leading the way. That's James Davison then. So James Davison is the no-name driver on the left. Because basically in the game, he's just put James Davison 21 as his first name. So that's why his surname doesn't show up on the left-hand tower. But he is running in third position, just ahead of Bruno Spengler. And this is really tight, actually. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all together. And only the top 5 will advance through to the final that will be coming up in just over an hour's time. So Esteban Gutiérrez there in 5th place. Then it's DeFrancesco behind. Philipp Eng has made a bit of a gap in 2nd place. James Baldwin up in front, and look at that. James Davison trying to lose the slipstream. He's still got the inside line though, has Spengler. Couldn't quite find it. Gutiérrez in 5th. Through the right-hander of Luffield. And out onto the start-finish straight again. James Baldwin leading. Eng in 2nd, Davison in 3rd, but for how long? Because here comes Bruno Spengler, wheel to wheel. Bit of contact, Spengler goes out wide. Gutiérrez, oh, he goes into the back of Spengler. They're both on the grass coming out of Cop's corner. And that all allows DeFrancesco up into 4th position. Spengler down to 5th, Gutiérrez down to 6th.
Melee, and it's all leading from this 3rd place battle now. So that's going all the way down to 7th place and Bradley Smith. Felix Rosenqvist is out of the race. He was on a charge up towards the top 8, but came a cropper somewhere. But now we've got this huge long line, all for 3rd place. Bruno Spengler absolutely in the mix, still defending, and that's Esteban Gutiérrez sideways as well. Chaos.
Yeah, very, very busy, isn't it? Lap 5 of 11. And so Rosenqvist out as they come down into the first corner. Gutiérrez is trying to get back past Spengler. All this has allowed Smith to join the fight, and Gutiérrez could lose out to Smith here as they come into Maggots and Beckett's. Through the left, through the right, and then out onto the Wellington straight again. So this is now what? Well, it's basically 3 cars now battling over the final qualifying spot because Spengler's dropped a bit behind DeFrancesco. So it's 3 for 1 place in the final as it stands. Gutiérrez to the outside of Spengler. That's going to be an ambitious one. Can he get the inside for Luffield? Not this time. Oh no, and there's more contact with Gutiérrez. And he's off, and he's wide, and he's lost the place.
He's going to get back past though on Bradley Smith on the exit of Luffield. So swapping places, Gutiérrez back into 6th, which gives him the best chance to attack Spengler. Smith now is going to come back at him. Gutiérrez defending in towards Cop's corner and defending well enough that time. But it was a little bit ambitious, that one, into Brooklands. Just a little nose in on the inside then of Luffield, having gone the outside of Brooklands. And that was never going to work. Anyone who's watched enough races at Silverstone knows that that's the best way to lose a front wing. And Gutiérrez pretty much did that. But that gap's now just opened up a bit to Bruno Spengler. 1 second that Spengler's got in that sacred 5th place that will see him through into the final.
So Esteban Gutiérrez in 6th position now. Spengler and Gutiérrez and Smith need to be careful not to just fight each other the whole time and lose out to Spengler in that 5th position. But as it stands, it looks as though they are dropping away. Here comes the look to the inside from Smith, up the inside of Esteban Gutiérrez in the green car, and Smith goes through. But all of this is just costing them more and more time to Spengler, who's now 1.6 seconds ahead and closing in on DeFrancesco as they come into the right-hander at Beckett's.
Yeah, this battle's perfect for Spengler in 5th place, as you say, closing back in on DeFrancesco, but he doesn't really want to fight DeFrancesco because they'll only slow each other up, which is exactly what Smith and Gutiérrez are still doing, weaving on the back straight. Bradley Smith, Gutiérrez still tucked in behind him, and they're dropping away from Spengler all the while, nearly a second in the last lap and a half. So they're really knocking themselves out of this fight for 5th place. If they got their heads down together, they could bring themselves back into the fight with Spengler and DeFrancesco. But right now, they're fighting each other so hard, they're losing too much time to those ahead.
Into Kopp's corner, they're fighting again. Gutiérrez up the inside of Smith, but not quite able to make the move this time around. And Steve Alvarez Brown is up into 10th position. Archie Hamilton's in 12th. Nyck de Vries in 13th. I always expect a bit more from Nyck de Vries whenever I see him racing on these, because he's a young guy, and I always think
whenever you see him racing full stop.
Sorry?
Whenever you see him racing full stop.
No.
Last week was his first week, wasn't it? He was a little bit adrift, and he's still a little bit adrift. I know what you mean, though.
So we have got lap 10 of 11. James Baldwin is out in the lead of the race. Eng in 2nd place, 5 seconds behind. We've got DeFrancesco in 4th position. James Davison is in 3rd. Spengler in 5th position. Don't know why I did it in that particular order, the top 5, but there we go. It's have they got a bit of back markery coming up here, or have they all closed in on the back of Philipp Eng? I think Eng might have had a spin. I think Philipp Eng's had a spin at Copse, and all of a sudden has dropped behind James Davison and is just in front of DeFrancesco and Spengler. Here they come down into Brooklands through the left-hander. And all of a sudden, Eng under a lot of pressure. Out onto the start-finish straight again. James Baldwin has started his final lap of the race, but he's 9 seconds clear of James Davison in 2nd place. And there's the look. Oh, Philipp Eng under pressure from DeFrancesco, and you don't really want to be getting involved in an incident on the final lap. In 2nd place, number 11, is James Davison, just so you know, because his name is missing, his surname, but there's no such trouble for James Baldwin out in front in the lead of this race. Down into Brooklands for the final time. There's going to be a bit of action in behind here as Spengler tries to get past DeFrancesco. You see in the box in the inset, though, James Baldwin coming through the final corner. He takes the win and books himself a place in the final. James Davison is going to be there. So is Philipp Eng. So is DeFrancesco and Spengler, although Smith has closed right up to the back of Spengler. And in fact, they're going to be right together as they come across the line. But just Spengler by 0.4 of a second books himself a place in the final. James Baldwin with the win. And to be honest, when Rudy van Buren dominated his first race, I didn't think we'd see the likes of that again. But what a performance that was from James Baldwin.
Yeah, we didn't really see much of it, did we? He was so far ahead and didn't put a foot wrong. Philipp Eng got away with that one because he only just held off Lachlan DeFrancesco final lap into Copse and then was safe. Really good racing. And it was for that 5th place as well this time. So those just on the cusp, DeFrancesco through, James Davison had a great race, but Gutiérrez and Bradley Smith probably fighting each other too hard because they were so close in the end, but lost too much in that mid part of the race.
Well, yeah, because in the end, they got so close to the back of Bruno Spengler. You just think if they hadn't have been squabbling with each other, they might have had the chance to get up and in there. Harry Tinknell in 11th place across the line. Matt Griffin in 13th place. He's a new entrant, the GT racer. Normally see him at the wheel of a Ferrari GT car. But then we've got Abbie Eaton in 14th place. I had a little race with Abbie on Thursday night in a touring car around Croft. There you go. There's your.
What
your
you did?
Story. Yeah.
Who won?
Well, there were lots. I didn't win I think I was quicker than Abbie. I was quicker than Abbie.
Are you still on this big shout out promo drive for yourself to get a seat in this All Star Esports battle?
What can I say?
Is that what this is all about?
Yeah, basically. But we'll see. Still no sign. Juan Pablo Montoya did well to get him into 9th position. It was such a shame for him in Indianapolis, wasn't it, that he was nudged out? A lot of people gave us some stick on the internet because we couldn't remember if Montoya had won in Indianapolis or not. But we specifically meant Formula One. He's won 2 Indy 500s. Yeah, sure. But we were specifically talking the United States Grand Prix.
Yeah, obviously, which I don't think he has won, the United States Grand Prix. But he has won 2 Indy 500s, we shouldn't forget. Has he ever won at Silverstone? Yes, he has.
Yes,
2005.
3, 5. Yeah, I said 5.
5 in the McLaren.
We can later on. We've got the Legends race coming up, and I believe that we're joined now by Jann Magnusson, who is going to be racing in it. Jann, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Are you excited for this one?
Yeah, it's good fun. It's quite different from normal. Very difficult car, but it's excellent fun.
Yeah, so it's not talk. How is the car to drive compared to what you're used to?
It's pretty bad. It's all over the place. There's so much movement in the car. Everything's delayed. It's difficult to get your head around, but it's the same for everybody. And you can see how guys out there suddenly find a big chunk of time because they've tried something different with their driving style or something. So every time I go out there, I'm trying to do the exact same thing, but just without finding the time.
Well, we'll see Jann out in the Brabham BT44 a little bit later. Jann, are you not used to this sim racing stuff? Have you been on the simulators a lot, or is this the whole thing is new to you?
It's pretty new. So I've ran simulators with obviously with Corvette Racing. They're quite different than what we're using here. Same program, I believe, but that's to develop the car and much more than just racing around like this. This is my first E-race, so I'm looking forward to how it goes. Never done a start in one of these things, and we'll see.
Is there anyone in the grid that you're particularly looking at, beating or don't want to be beaten? But you're back against Dario Franchitti from your British Formula 3 days.
Yeah, that'd be cool to beat him, but he's gone pretty fast, so I doubt that'll happen. But if I can stay sort of in the better half of the field, I'm quite happy.
Okay, great. Thanks for talking to us, Jann. Best of luck.
Thanks.
So that's Jann Magnusson, and who's going to be out later on. Matt Sadokist, how are you looking forward to the Legends race? I think all of the drivers are saying this is a bit. I text Dario earlier, and he said he feels like Ronnie Peterson out there. He's just sliding it around every corner.
Yeah, from talking to Max Pappas earlier this week, I know there's been a lot of banter between them. He said Gilles de Ferran's been throwing most of the shots in their little group chat, so maybe watch out for him. And from my experience in the F1 race, watch out for Johnny Herbert because he took me out when I was in that race. So I think there's going to be a little bit more chaos. Sorry?
He took you out.
Oh, he did. I was running P3 and he just shunted me off the outside of turn 2. So kind of ruined my race for the day. But this is going to be fun. I think there's going to be a lot more chaos. I love that they're driving Brabhams with a Brabham in the race. It's a bit more storyline involved in it as well, because Emerson is obviously, as I mentioned earlier, the father-in-law of Max Pappas. And Max obviously has Marco and Matteo in the household, but then you've got Pietro, who does a lot of simming in the family as well. And I hope Emerson's maybe leaning on him. Where does the family allegiance go? And obviously Emerson's going to be the oldest driver in this race, but the most distant from sim in that ways.
I didn't think about the David Brabham link there. That's very true. You were right with your prediction of James Baldwin. So both world fastest gamers guys winning.
I think there's a mentality in sim that the real drivers coming in perhaps feel like they, go fast at all costs. They want to get positions, whereas the sim guys know to just stay out of trouble, and they get ahead, they get their lead, they stay very calm. And we saw both that from Van Buren and from Baldwin. Once they got in the lead, they were untouchable. But there was some decent drives. Spangler obviously won the IMSA race last weekend on iRacing, and now this weekend he's 5th in this race, so making progress on R-Factor 2 as well. I do want to correct one thing, and it was misleading, because I assume what's happening is Juan Pablo, obviously, and Sebastian are both entered in this, and they normally play it all in sport. I assume they're home now and sharing the sim, and it's probably logged in through JP's account. So that was actually Sebastian in the last race, whereas Juan Pablo is jumping in now for the Legends race. So I know that was misleading, because I assume it's logged in under his name, so it even said JP Montoya in the race. But yeah, Sebastian's the one in the F3 car.
Okay, great. Well, we will see Juan Pablo out in a couple of moments' time. Let's join qualifying now. Thanks, Sadokist, for the sim racers part of this All-Star Esports battle. And we have got Manuel Biancolila just heading out onto the circuit. And yeah, as I say, this is going to be the sim racers element. The top 5 will go through. And well, the race are very keen on the esport sim racing side of things. So this is really one of the only championships out there in this sort of flurry of championships that have emerged since the postponement of real racing. But all of the esport drivers, the sim racers, they are all paid a entry fee, and the prize money goes to them in this race, because we think it's important that the sim racers are sort of looked out for. And other races have the real racers and celebrity racers and that sort of thing, and we have some of the real racers here as well, but it's the sim racers that really are at the top of their game. So this is the where the entry fees are paid and where the prize money is won. Kevin Siggy is going to be one to watch out for. Bono Huis as well. In fact, they're all going to be one to watch out for. Oh, David Greco has qualified for this. He's a very experienced racer, is David Greco, and he worked on the physics, I think, for the F1 Codemasters game. David Greco was a man who was working on the physics there. So yeah, this is going to be a really hardcore qualifying session. This is going to be the close qualifying session, Jolyon.
Yeah, this should be. They're all so dialed in, these guys, and we've seen that the last weekends. Their home hunting ground, really, on the simulator, where they spend a huge amount of time to be so competitive. Kevin Siggy was really, really quick last time out. Bono Huis, good old Bono's back. Lucas Blakely's been quick as well. There's always such a huge depth to this field. And look how close the times are immediately. 10 within basically 3/10. Even less than that now.
Yeah, so Wisniewski is at the top, 200ths clear of Lucas Blakely, who is, well, this is ridiculous. So Bono Huis in 5th position is 600ths away from Wisniewski. Kastorp in 6th place, David Greco into 8th place, Michi Hoyer in 9th, Peter Berliak, who was running at the front in Nürburgring, I think, is up into 10th place. Simoncic is in 13th spot, Caput in 14th, Mohamed Patel in 15th. But you would say that Brzezinski, Bock and Pawlowski have not set a lap time yet, but these times are going to just jump and jump. So Wisniewski now goes to the top, and 800ths ahead of Bono Huis, an age, but there goes Kevin Siggy now, back to the top of the times. Here's Mohamed Patel, the young British racer, coming through the final corner. Siggy quickest at the moment on a 50.3. What can Mohamed Patel do? Currently 0.6 of a second away. Basically, 10 of these drivers, as Patel goes 11th, 10 of these drivers were invited, and then the other 10 were from a hot lap competition yesterday on the sort of open server. So that's how the sim racer field is split. Siggy at the top, Wisniewski second, third Huis, fourth Blakely, fifth Biancolila. Yayovski's in 6th position as they come, as Jordi Sveers comes down into 20th place. Imagine being, how close was GP2 qualifying, Jolyon? Would 20th be 7/10 away?
I don't think it ever would be, but to be fair, we never race on a track with.
No, that's
so
true.
There is that, but this is phenomenally close, and the time's still coming in. We've still got a minute to go, so anyone starting a lap can just about complete it. which is basically Jolly Sveers, who is last but needs to improve. It's so close, this whole field. One good lap at the end now can really launch you from being basically on the back foot and looking like you're out to right at the front of this grid.
This is fixed setup racing. Stephen Van Ospel has just asked. These guys all have fixed setups. The Legends race will be coming up in about half an hour's time, maybe more like 20 minutes, I'd have thought. And across the line comes Kevin Siggy then. Quickest of anyone, a 50.376. Wisniewski is second. Lucas Blakely in 5th position. Oh, big twitch as he comes out of Kopp's corner. Here comes Sveers. Cut adrift by a 1/10 of a second in 20th place. Comes across the line. Can he improve? Currently 20th. Goes up to 19th. 0.3 of a second away from Kevin Siggy on pole position. This is absolutely startling. Siggy quickest, Wisniewski second, Huis third, Greco fourth, Blakely fifth at the moment. Checker flag is out, so they can finish the laps they're on. Bono Huis across the line, and that's the end of the session. So Siggy on pole position. What a qualifying session. This is going to be great.
Yeah, it's so close, but I'll tell you what's impressive, that Siggy was our pace man from last week as well. Yeah. And even though it's so close, every single person there qualified within 4/10. 4/10 separated first to last, basically just over 3/10 separated first to 19th. But you've still got Kevin Siggy at the front. You've still got Bono Huis was a feature in the top 5 last time as well. Lucas Blakely still starts 5th. You know, the same guys are still at the top. It's really, really impressive with these fine margins.
Manuel Biancalila starts in 6th place. Peter Berliak in 7th. Erhan Yajovski is in 8th spot. Then we got 9th for Alex Siebel. Risto Capit completes the top 10. Then we got Dennis Jordan in 11th place, just ahead of Mohamed Patel. And then we've got Yuri Kazdorp in 13th place. Michele D'Alessandro is in 14th position. Michi Hoyer 15th. Kuba Brzezinski is in 16th position. All of these drivers in the same car with the same fixed setup. Jene Simoncic down in 17th place after being very much a front runner in the early stages, and in fact winning the opening race of the event in the Nürburgring. Here we go then. Kevin Siggy on pole position. The race gets underway. Cuts over quite quickly, does Siggy, and holds the lead. There's a good start further back in the pack. I think that might be Yajovski, who's got up from 7th on the grid up into 5th position at Kopp's corner. Really good start by Yajovski. Biancalila's got past Blakely as they come into the right-hander of Beckett's. Kevin Siggy leading the way. Wisniewski looks as though he went in a little bit too deep and might put himself under a bit of pressure from Bono Huis now as they come down the Wellington Straight into the left-hander at Brooklands for the first time in this 11-lap race. Huis in the green car on the attack. Wisniewski covers the inside in the blue car. Kevin Siggy holds the lead. Can Huis go round the outside? I think he's done it. The Dutchman up into 2nd position. Wisniewski drops down into 3rd position. Across the line to complete lap 1. Kevin Siggy out in front. Oh, it's 3 wide almost for 2nd place. Huis, Wisniewski and Yajovski. Yajovski is carving up through the order. He started in 7th position and he's already up into 4th place, trying to gain a couple more places and get ahead of Wisniewski and Huis. Out onto the Wellington Straight again. Kevin Siggy leading. Huis in 2nd, but he's having to defend from Wisniewski. Wisniewski, Yajovski, David Greco in 5th, Peter Berliak in 6th, and a reminder, it's the top 5 that progress through to the final, and this race is where the prize money is awarded for the sim racers. Down towards turn 1. Swings it into the right-hander. Bono Huis really in slipstream city here. Wisniewski in 3rd position. What can Bono Huis do? Can he hold on to that 3rd spot as he comes down the Wellington Straight? This is going to be a long, long defensive race for Bono Huis in that 2nd position. We're on board with Yajovski in the inset in the top right. Kevin Siggy disappearing out in front. through Woodcote Corner. Lap 4 of 11. Siggy leading. Queese 2 seconds further back. Wisniewski in third position, but he runs a little bit wide. Still David Greco completing the top 5. Greco, though, only just ahead of Berliak as they come out onto the Wellington straight again. A lot of you saying we're getting the Bono train here, like the Trulli train. He's doing a good job at the moment. Queese holding on in front, and in fact, these three have just managed to gap a little bit. The battle for 5th behind. David Greco under all sorts of pressure in 5th position, and a big slide as he came out of Luffield. So Queese in 2nd. Wisniewski 3rd. Jajowski 4th still. Who's in 5th? It's Kasdorp. So Kasdorp is up into 5th position. Berliak into 6th. David Greco has dropped down to 7th position. Into Brooklands once more. Now these 4 now take it steady? Siggy leading, Queese, Wisniewski and Jajowski. The top 4 are now almost 2 seconds clear of Kasdorp in 5th position. Peter Berliak's in 6th spot. There is Yuri Kasdorp in 5th position at the moment. And he's managed to gap Peter Berliak quite well, actually. There's 0.6 of a second between them. So Yuri Kasdorp has done very well here, and out onto the Wellington straight he comes. Greco will be frustrated, the Italian, that he's dropped back a little bit, and there was the move. Wisniewski went for it on Bono Queese. Did he get through? Don't think he did. Jajowski in 4th. As ever, getting a load of stick for saying Bono Queese, but there you go. Lap 7 of 11.
Well, and Jack, I'll support you there as I wait for Jolyon to fix his sound. But yeah, I am totally with you on the Bono Queese aspect, because I talk to him every single day almost, and he says it that way. So they can buzz off. He is looking really good in 2nd place. Good battle at the start. But again, this gives Siggy a massive lead. And like you say, this is the race where the sim racers have some money on the line. Watch out the battle for 3rd.
Wisniewski on the outside. Jajowski trying to get through on the inside, and he's not quite able to get through. That gives Bono Queese a little bit of breathing space. I believe it's, I guess it's kind of like Charles Leclerc, isn't it? You say Leclerc, but he says, my name's Charles Leclerc. So it's a difficult one to know what to do. Here they come down to Copse Corner. Wisniewski just ahead of Jajowski, going very defensive. Jajowski to the outside. That's going to be quite a good move. If he pulls it off, he might have just done so. What a great move from Erhan Jajowski round the outside at Copse Corner to take 3rd place. That was brilliant.
Another WFG surpriser in the competition. Jajewski looking solid. Wisniewski, by the way, back in season 1, he nearly outqualified Rudy van Buren in the first McLaren race we had on our Factor 2. He is a shout in the esports world. He is a very fast sim driver, and he's coming back at him. Look at the draft outside, but this gives him the right. Oh, they're going to overlap. Massive contact.
Whoa, that's a real shame, and they're going to lose places here. Peter Berliak gets up into 5th place, David Greco into 6th, and Erhan Jajowski, after starting 7th, fighting his way all the way up into 3rd position, has now dropped way down to 10th place. Just got a little bit too close there, and now Wisniewski's under pressure from Peter Berliak, and that'll be so frustrating with just 3 laps to go that Jajowski in particular has lost the place. Here's a look at what happened, Matt. What did you make of it?
I get the move. You want to hold the outside as much as possible, but I honestly think Wisniewski just pinches too tight, the overlap, and then at that point, wheels locked. Nothing you can do, but keep in mind, this means that the sim racers go into the same last chance qualifier as the real drivers, and Junkadea, we hope, gets back into that. Rosenqvist, we hope, gets back into that. But now you're throwing a bunch of talented sim racers in that mix. That race is going to be super cutthroat.
Yeah, it certainly is. Kevin Siggy's about to start lap 10 of 11, so the penultimate lap of the race in a couple of moments' time. Bono Huis in second position, Yuri Kastorp in third. Fourth is Wisniewski. Then we've got Peter Berliak in fifth, only 7/10 ahead of David Greco, but Greco doesn't look like he's quite got the race pace to get up and overtake Peter Berliak. We'll have to wait and see, but he started in fifth and has dropped back a couple of places, so I don't think Greco's going to be much of a challenge. Further back, you've got the likes of Michi Hoyer. Here's Jojowski trying to carve his way back through the order. He's in the green and black car. He's got ahead of Kamil Pawlowski and is now trying to get past Michi Hoyer, but it might be too little too late, I think, for Jojowski. Side by side into the left-hander at Brooklands. Jojowski getting all out of shape. And he's just still ahead of Pawlowski. We've got Jolyon back with us, I believe. You here, Palmer?
Hey, Jack, how are we doing?
Oh,
this is a good race. This is good. I've been enjoying it in stuttered silence, but some great racing. Still wheel-to-wheel into Cops. And again, the top four breaking through look like they should be okay. And Berliak still got Greco pretty close, last lap.
So Kevin Siggy starts the final lap of the race, as you say, and David Greco has closed in a bit on Peter Berliak. I wasn't 100% sure he had the pace, but I don't think he'll be close enough. Coming down into the left-hander in the final corner. So here comes Kevin Siggy. Many people's favourite for the win this weekend, has done himself no harm with a very strong qualifying performance and an even stronger race to take victory and the prize money and a place in the final in the race's All-Star Esports battle. Bono Huis across the line in second position, Yuri Kastorp in third place, Wisniewski in fourth, and Peter Berliak completing the top five. 0.8 of a second in the end, ahead of David Greco in sixth position. So a good race, that one. Bono Huis doing a lot of defending early on and managed to hold on to that second place, despite all that pressure.
Yep, I mean, that was a really strong race. Yuri Kastorp came from a long way back as well. Wisniewski got through into the final. Kevin Siggy, though, all three races we've had, the winner has just scampered off from the first lap, and it was the same again with Siggy. It's we were yet to see an absolute cracker of a fight for the lead, even when we've had some really good stuff further back.
Yeah, and I guess you would think that the leader is going to be, he's the one without the slipstream. So he's going to be the one that everyone's queued up behind, but it hasn't quite worked out like that. So Siggy, Huis, Kastorp, Wisniewski, and Peter Berliak are the top five that advance through to the final. David Greco just missing out in sixth position, but good to see him back. I haven't seen him in the sim racing world for a while, David Greco, but he was a real front runner in the Formula Sim racing days, sort of 10 years ago when I started commentating. Alex Siebel in seventh position, Jojowski sliding down to eighth after starting seventh, getting all the way up to third, and then dropping all the way back down to eighth position. Michi Hoyer ninth, Kamil Pawlowski completing the top 10. So we now know all the, we know 15 of the 20 drivers that will be in the final. Next up is going to be the last chance qualifier with Jones Soda, and that is going to give us the final drivers that will be in. We'll hopefully see Rosenqvist and Juncker Deyer, but then we'll be moving on to the Legends race. And as far as Legends go, a two-time Formula One world champion is not a bad place to start. So we can speak to Emerson Fittipaldi, I believe. Emerson, how are you doing? Are you all ready to go?
Good. I'm exhausted. I'm trying to improve my lap time, but I'm having so much fun. You know, I know Silverstone for many years. I started racing in England, Formula Ford, Formula 3, Formula 2, Formula 1 in Silverstone. But it's difficult on this setup, you know. But I'm practice for the next race. I'm going to be top 5.
Okay. Did you drive the BT44 in real life?
Sorry?
Did you drive this car in real life?
No, I race against. I was driving the McLaren M23 when Carlos Reutemann race and Carlos Paci, this beautiful Brabham.
Okay, brilliant. Well, good luck, Emerson. Thank you for talking to us.
Sorry?
Thank you and good luck.
Well, I need a lot of luck, and I need much more experience, much more practice. But I'm still sweating. I'm 2 hours inside the cockpit now, non-stop. I think I did 1,500 laps.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Emerson. Best of luck in the race. There we go. Emerson Fittipaldi.
Does that make Fittipaldi our favourite for this? 1,500 laps. 2 hours in the cockpit. He's going to be dialed in, isn't he?
Sadokist, do you reckon Emerson Fittipaldi is the favourite for the Legends race?
I have no idea. This is the hardest one to call. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's just amazing that he's so passionate about motorsports still at his age. I was in Montreal this year in the paddock, and he was bouncing around. He had more energy than most of the drivers all weekend. So super cool. Favorite? I have no idea. Don't ask me. This one's up in the air.
So we are now going to move on to the last chance qualifiers. Then we'll be having the Legends race. And so all the pro drivers that didn't make it through in the first 2 heats will be going head to head to try and find the last 5 spots. So hopefully we'll see, as you were saying, Danny Juncadella and Felix Rosenqvist, hopefully they'll be back in the game and be able to book themselves a place in the final. So qualifying will be getting underway soon. And I mean, those are the 2 big names to watch out for on this Sadokist.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Yoyoski comes back in as well. Erhan got knocked out there in that accident with Nicki Thiim, so that puts him kind of in a position to capitalize. But I actually messaged Rosenqvist after he dropped, and I haven't heard back. So I imagine he's frantically trying to sort whatever happened with his internet connection or with his computer. So hopefully we do see him back into it. But yeah, this Jones Soda last chance qualifier is a big deal, and I think you're going to see a lot more risk taking in sort of those back 3, 3 to 5 to 8th position. If they can get close, there's going to be a battle.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So let's join the qualifying session for the last chance qualifier. It's going to be a good one. So here we go then, the Jones Soda last chance qualifier. And this, we believe, is Sebastian Montoya out in this car, because Juan Pablo will be in the Legends race a little bit later on. So although it says J Montoya, they're probably just sharing the same rig. So across the line comes Sebastian Montoya, and we'll start to see the lap times come in. So Juncadella is out there. I can't see Rosenqvist's name. Can you?
No, doesn't look to me like Rosenqvist is in, but Juncadella definitely is. Chaves was really quick as well, remember. Chaves in that first heat nearly had a go at getting through. Bradley Smith and Esteban Gutiérrez were quick as well. So I can't see Rosenqvist in. Juncadella definitely is, but there's a lot of talent as well that's going to be looking to be qualifying at the front to try and get those top 5 places.
So here comes Sebastian Montoya out of the final corner. Steve Alvarez Brown is the first lap time on a 51.204. Gabby Chaves now goes to the top on a 51.0. Nyck de Vries is into 5th place. Tom Dillman to the top of the times. Actually, Dillman was very quick. Did he even race in the first 2 heats? I don't remember his name at all being
he was. Wasn't he in I think he was in the first heat and was just very anonymous, really. But he was quick last week. Did he? I think he won this this last chance qualifier, the Jones Soda last chance qualifier last week. And he's looking to do the same again this week. So he's gone to the top, less than a 10th, though, ahead of Ed Jones, who's up in 2nd. Gutierrez 4th, still with Bradley Smith. Those 2 had a huge battle in Heat 2. If they have a battle like that this time, they're 3rd and 4th, and it would be enough to get through.
Here comes Ed Jones out of the final corner to cross the line. He's currently in 2nd place. Can he nudge himself up into provisional pole position? Across the line comes Jones, and he does, a 50.747, just under a 10th quicker than Tom Dillman. Gabby Chaves in 3rd place, Alvarez Brown in 4th, Esteban Gutierrez in 5th position. Then it's Nyck de Vries, Bradley Smith, Charlie Eastwood goes 2nd. Good lap from Charlie Eastwood, the World Endurance Championship driver. Just for those of you who are asking, it's Archie Hamilton in 15th place, not Lewis. And Danny Juncadella to the top of the times, 50.724. That's more like it from Juncadella.
Yeah, that's a better pace there. And the first lap that he's really put in of note since not appearing really in that first race. So Juncadella to the top. We think he should be good enough to get through. based on everything he's shown so far, but had that disconnection in Heat 1. Pole position, though, is the perfect place to be right now. Still 1 minute and 30 left, though. Other people can try and just topple him off the top spot. Remember, the pole man so far has had quite an easy task in all the 3 heats.
David Greco has just said on the YouTube chat, I was so rusty at the start, forgot how to race. So hence the starting in 5th place and finishing a bit further down. But great to have you back, David. 1 minute left on the clock. Jonny Adam on provisional pole for this last chance qualifier. Only the pro drivers get this last chance to advance through to the final. And it is Jonny Adam who's on provisional pole at the moment. Here's Gabby Chaves in 6th place. Only just missed out on advancing, but the 26-year-old Colombian might need to improve his lap time if he wants to, well, he will need to improve it if he wants to get into the top 5. Comes across the line now and remains in 6th place. So no improvement that time for Gabby Chaves. He'll have time to do one more lap, the one he's on now, with 30 seconds left on the board.
I think it's going to time out on this one, but it's so close, isn't it? From Steve Alvarez-Brown down to Esteban Gutiérrez, the 3 of them separated by just a couple of hundredths of a second, so nothing really in it. Let's see if Chaves does manage to complete this one or not, because he barely needs to improve to jump up into that top 5.
Ed Jones it is, who's coming down into the right-hander of Brooklands now. Left-hander of Brooklands, I should say. Oh, a bit of a twitch there. That's not ideal. Now into Luffield and out across the line. Jonny Adam on provisional pole position. Can Ed Jones take that away from him with the last lap of the session? No. Remains in 2nd position, just behind Danny Jonny Adam. Charlie Eastwood 3rd, Dillman 4th, Chaves 5th, Alvarez-Brown in 6th position, Gutiérrez in 7th, Ben Yahia, the Moroccan, in 8th position, and then Nyck de Vries in 9th place. So, Jonny Adam looking strong here. Let's have a look at the grid. With Danny Jonny Adam, the Spaniard, starting on pole position, the DTM racer. IndyCar racer Ed Jones alongside him on the front row of the grid. Charlie Eastwood in 3rd place. Tom Dillman in 4th spot. And a reminder, it's the top 5 that will go through to the final. In 5th position, currently occupying that last spot in the final. We'll see on the next page of the graphics. But Danny Jonny Adam on pole, Ed Jones 2nd, Charlie Eastwood 3rd, Tom Dillman 4th. And then in 5th place, it is, well, we're going back to the top 4 again. There we go. I can't remember. Can you remember who qualified 5th, Jolyon?
Yes, Steve Alvarez-Brown. Just ahead of Gabby Chaves, just ahead of Esteban Gutiérrez. And then I forget.
That's impressive memory. That is impressive memory.
Yeah.
I can't write them down quick enough, you see. I get the top 4 and then I don't get them written down quick enough. So we're waiting for the race to get underway. Jonny Adam will start on pole position. Here they go then. They're all lined up, waiting for the green flag to drop. The last chance qualifier with Jones Soda is underway. Good start from Jonny Adam. Chaves already up into 4th place as he tries to get past Tom Dillman. We're on board in the middle there with Charlie Eastwood, who can't quite get past Ed Jones. So Ed Jones holds on to 2nd place. Charlie Eastwood 3rd, side by side between Chaves and Dillman for 4th position. And then Esteban Gutiérrez has made up a place. And in fact, Gutiérrez has just got up into 4th place. So Gutiérrez in the green car, past the 2 that were going side by side. There's all sorts of carnage at the back. I think Archie Hamilton is caught up in that. But Danny Jonny Adam it is, leading the way down into the first corner. Bradley Smith trying to get involved in the fight because just up in front of him is Tom Dillman. And in front of him is Gabby Chaves in that 5th spot. Out over the start line. Smith trying to get past Dillman again. Looks to the outside. Not able to do it. This time at least. Runs a bit wide. Gutiérrez under pressure from Chaves. Gabby Chaves in front trying to go side by side with Gutiérrez. Runs out wide. Tries to get the cut back and might get a run on the Mexican coming down the Wellington Straight. The top 3 of Jonny Adam, Jones, Eastwood have got away a little bit. Gutiérrez has to go a little bit defensive. Not hugely, though. Chaves to the outside. Oh, there's all sorts of chaos further back. Dillman is caught up in that. He's gone spinning around. I think Smith was involved too. Gutiérrez in 5th place, coming out across the line to start lap 3 of 11. Juncadella leading. Jones 2nd, Eastwood 3rd, Chaves 4th. 5th is Gutiérrez now, trying to get past Gabby Chaves as they come down to Maggots and Beckett's. Through the right-hander. And once again, we've got Sadokist with us as our little stand-in commentator for when Jolyon's appalling
It's no Counter-Strike, but it's all right. Yeah, I'll be Baby Jolyon today. I'm okay with that.
And there goes Gutiérrez back past Chaves. But once again, we're seeing this top 5 kind of break away from everyone else.
I'm a bit surprised by that. Again, last chance qualifier, they'll be loving it. Guys like Chaves, who gets a bit of a gap back towards Smith. Dillman, I know, all week has been called out from other drivers for being hyper-aggressive on sim. So watch for him. If he can get a sniff at all towards Smith, he'll go for it. Big battle into Cops as well. It's hard to hold the outside, but you can tuck back in and maybe, not if you run that wide, get a draft back down toward Maggot. It's not going to happen this time. In fact, he's going to come under threat from a car behind as they get more and more deep into the breaking point. This could lead to a massive tow on the Wellington straight.
Yeah, Bradley Smith's got a really good run through that right-hander, now out onto the Wellington straight. They're all weaving around to try and lose the tow. Gutiérrez in the end decides on the inside. To the outside goes Bradley Smith. Just looks a little bit too far back to make the move that time, and indeed he is.
But this is backing them up. I mean, everyone's going to get in on this. Even Adam can get a chance to... Oh, there's contact. That's not ideal. That's Jimmy Broadbent-style Punterino, if I've ever seen one. And the front wing gone. That might be race over on that move.
That was a replay. I'm not sure who that was a replay of. It might have been Alvarez Brown, to be honest with you, because he's now dropped out of the running. So not 100% sure who that was in the replay, but we're now on lap 5 of 11 with Juncadella leading still. Jones 2nd, Eastwood 3rd, Chaves 4th. Bradley Smith in 5th, just ahead of Gutiérrez, who's just in front of Tom Dillman. Now, Dillman had that moment a little bit earlier on, dropped down the order, but he's now right on the back of the Mexican, Esteban Gutiérrez. Looks to the inside. Can he get that done? Oh, he's a bit too far back. Gutiérrez comes in, takes the apex, and holds on to the position.
This is the battle for 5th, though. This is the last spot through. Chaves gets a bit of a gap in front, but again, it's the draft, and I think Dillman's biding his time. It's only lap 5. This is a huge battle. There's not a risk yet worth taking in my mind. If you can wait till sort of lap 7, 8, 9, then you can start to try and maybe track down Chaves. But the man in 3rd right now might be the man in power, because if they start battling in front, Dillman can capitalize on any contact and any mistake that Bradley Smith or Gutiérrez make.
Gutiérrez holding on to 6th place at the moment, just in front of Tom Dillman. Down the back straight. Again, Gutiérrez covers the inside. Can't quite get through there, Dillman. But like you say, this is just dropping them further and further back from Bradley Smith in 5th position. You feel like they need to just be a little bit more sensible, I suppose.
Well, the problem is now, the R-factor toe is quite sensitive, and if you drop out of it too far, you do lose it, and Smith's going to break that toe very soon, so this move matters. Outside, good hold from Dillman. Gutiérrez, wow, I say good hold. A little bit extra tarmac use. That might be a bit of a problem, but that might give him the release that he needs. If he can track down Smith now, it's not the end of the world for Gutiérrez, because he can take advantage of them battling and still work his way back in this by being smooth.
Yeah, I think in the real world, that might have ended up in a bit of a penalty for Tom Dillman, but he's got 6th position at the moment and is now closing down on Bradley Smith in front. Not the motorbike racer Bradley Smith. Just so you know, he's a British race car driver. Lap 7 of 11 as they come down. This is James Headley defending from Juan Manuel Correa, and behind them. Oh, and there's contact. Round goes Headley, round goes Correa, and they're all getting caught up in the incident there. And Max Martin manages to get through and gain 2 places. That all got a bit messy down in the battle for 15th place.
Extremely messy. And I just want to point out as well at the front, though, from the other side of that, obviously last chance, we're seeing a few mistakes at the back. But guys like Ed Jones, obviously Jonny Adam had the technical issue, couldn't race the first one. But Ed Jones had the spin in his race, and he's looking super comfortable in second. I mean, that's why this race is so important. And it's good to see most of the real drivers actually up at the front, really holding their own right now. And I guess with a chance in the shout toward the final. It's going to be a tough one. I think there's some heavy favorites against them, but Jonny Adam certainly can make his way into the final and still be a surprise.
And it's yet another race that the leader is unchallenged as well. I've just got back after watching the first 9 laps of your commentary, but yeah, Jonny Adam is just doing a great job. 2.5 seconds out front. Jones as well, doing a good job. He nearly made it through in the heats alone. But again, the leader unchallenged all the way through, and the battles have come further down. Still, it's quite close. 4th, 5th, 6th of Chaves, Smith and Dillman are all pretty close. That's the battle, because again, the top 5 is where you need to be in this race.
This race, this last chance qualifier, is brought to you by Jones Soda, based out of Seattle, Washington, started in Vancouver, Canada. They're the original craft soda made with cane sugar, available at Kroger, 7-Eleven, Walmart and other grocery and independent stores. So make sure you stock up on your Jones Soda, ready for the grand final, which Jonny Adam is looking certain to be in as he comes across the line down into Copse Corner to start the penultimate lap of the race. 3 seconds clear of Ed Jones in second place. The qualifying times are so tight that I'm just so surprised that every pole sitter has pulled away, because they've only had, what, 500ths in it when they've, done 1 lap. All of a sudden, they're 3, 5, 8 seconds clear at the end of the race.
It's all coming from the start, isn't it? They're getting good launches, and it's always, they're able to just keep the perfect racing line through the first few corners. Meanwhile, second and third start battling, and the leader just breaks away. And as soon as you get about 0.8 of a second plus ahead of your rival behind, you break that slipstream, and it does look easy. And they qualify at the front because they are the fastest, even though by tiny margins. But when they're out front and they're not battling, then it can really exaggerate things.
So, final lap of the race now for Jonny Adam with his exaggerated lead of 3.5 seconds over Ed Jones in second place. Is Sebastian Montoya under pressure from Harry Tincknell. But now we're back with Jonny Adam leading the way. Gutiérrez looks as though he's going to hold on to that 5th place on a spot in the final, as Jonny Adam swings into the left-hander. And this has been a commanding race from the Spaniard. Shame no Felix Rosenqvist out here to fight, but here comes Jonny Adam, who was the strongest racer of the pro racers last time, and he's booked himself a place in the Grands final by winning the Jones Soda last chance qualifier. Ed Jones across the line in second position. Third for Charlie Eastwood, who has had another strong performance. Gabby Chaves in 4th. Esteban Gutiérrez completing the top 5, the Mexican, with Jonny Adam up into 6th place. That's a better performance, actually, this race from Jonny Adam. He was sort of mired in the mid to lower pack in the last chance qualifier last time, but ended up just 1 spot outside the top 5. So Jonny Adam, Jones, Eastwood, Chaves and Gutiérrez go through to the grand final. Jonny Adam in 6th, Bradley Smith in 7th, Sebastian Montoya, that is, in 8th place. Harry Tincknell in 9th position, with Michael Benyahia in 10th place. So, yeah, no huge surprises, I would say, missing out on the final, apart from Felix Rosenqvist, who looks to have a few tech things here and there. And actually Tom Dillman, who got involved in quite a few incidents in that race, didn't he?
Yeah, Dillman probably the one man to miss out. Looked really quick, and yeah, a few incidents and a DNF in the end for Tom, sadly. Bradley Smith looked quite quick as well, but just missed out. To be honest, the top 5, you can't really begrudge them. They've looked like they've had the most pace through their heat, and they put it together pretty well through that last chance qualifier as well. So we kind of, I feel like we've probably got the best drivers still in it, minus Felix Rosenqvist, who you'd expect would have been, but some technical issues.
So it is a win for Jonny Adam in the Jones Soda last chance qualifier here on the Race All-Star Esports Battle. So 2 more races to come for you this afternoon. We have got the Legends race, which is due to get underway in not that long at all. In fact, a couple of minutes, we should be underway with the qualifying for the Legends race. And then we will have the grand final, who can win round 3 of the race's All-Star Esports battle. So now let's fully look at the Legends race, shall we? Because we got David Brabham out there, Helio Castroneves, Gilles de Ferran, Emerson Fittipaldi. Emerson Fittipaldi, he's been sitting in that rig for 2 hours, doing lap after lap. He's 73, 2-time Formula One champion, 2-time Indy 500 winner, kart champion. I mean, unbelievable. Here's the full entry list, and it's just mad, the drivers we have out there.
Yeah, you can't say they don't have experience. But who was it? Greco, who was saying after a sim race, hadn't been in it, that he was a bit rusty. Well, that doesn't bode very well for some of these guys, particularly the likes of Emerson Fittipaldi. So it's probably a good thing he's been pounding around for a couple of hours trying to just get up to speed with it all, because maybe there's a little bit of rusty behaviour out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for these guys that haven't really been sim racing. I know that Franchitti, for example, he saw it all came from us, didn't it? Because he started watching the first All-Star Esports battle a couple of weeks ago, texted me saying, I'm going to get myself and there he is with he must have been paid to wear those sunglasses. But anyway, he suddenly then was like, yeah, I'm going to, get on board with this esports stuff. I'm going to see Darren Turner tomorrow. He's actually at the moment just on a spare testing rig while his own rig is being built. Juan Pablo Montoya out there as well, Oriol Servia. And I think so many drivers saw what was going on in the first All-Star Esports battle and then have got stuck into it from there, really.
Yeah, and it was great to see the likes of Juan Pablo Montoya start. Tony Kanaan came in last time for that Indianapolis race and actually was pretty good as well. And Dario, yeah, he was messaging, wasn't he, from the first weekend, saying how much practice he was going to get in. He was off to Darren Turner's base performance simulator place. And, well, let's see if practice pays off for him. It's been a couple of weeks in the making, I would say, for Dario.
Yeah.
Emerson Fittipaldi, a couple of hours in the making. So maybe we shouldn't give Emerson the favourite tag just yet.
No, absolutely. Big pressure on Dario Franchitti then. There is actually a betting site that is putting odds on these things, and it had Dario at 20-1, which he wasn't impressed with. We'll wait and see what he can do. Oriol Servia out there, Paul Tracy, the Canadian, the ex-Indycar and Champ Car racer, 2003 Champ Car champion, Paul Tracy. Darren Turner, who I think, did Darren Turner race last week in the in the pros category? No? Okay, fine.
No.
I made that up.
But runs base performance simulators.
No, he didn't. That was Jonny Adam, because we had that argument about British.
It was Jonny Adam, whether he'd had a British Touring Car win and he'd had a podium own. There we go.
I tell you what, you can. I don't really know if I'm allowed to, but you can download British Touring Car season reviews from I don't know if it was Duke Video. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but that is something that I will be doing, because they've got all the season reviews there from the 90s and stuff like that.
I used to train when I was racing fully. I'd be on a treadmill grinding out some miles, and I'd put on like a vintage 95 touring car race, not having a clue what happened, and just watch it. It's good stuff.
Yeah,
not Jonny Adams' time though.
No, we're talking Alain Menu and Rickard Rydell and all those guys. Anyway, enough of that. Here is qualifying for the Legends race, and these are the Brabham BT44Bs. And this is Dario Franchitti, who almost getting collected there. And he didn't love the fact that he had a purple car, to be perfectly honest with you. He wasn't the best pleased with that, but he's out there in 4th place at the moment. Emanuele Pirro out there too, the multiple Le Mans winner, and Franchitti across the line. And I think we're only in the practice session at the moment, so that's why there's other cars out on circuit. We're not in qualifying yet, but that's actually pretty tight up at the front, isn't it?
That's super close. I have to say, these cars look fantastic. I imagine they're seriously tricky to drive. So whilst they might be a bit rusty, the drivers driving them, we've not given them an easy task, because compared to the Tatus that everyone else is driving that will be glued to the ground with little power and loads of grip. This will be the exact opposite. So much power, no grip, minimal downforce, super cool car, but it's going to be really difficult to keep on the track. And we've already seen a spin this time last lap. I don't know who it was for, but Franchitti avoided it. I imagine we're going to see plenty more of them.
Franchitti, 46 years of age, 3 times Indy 500 winner, 4-time IndyCar Series champion, and also had a couple of Formula One tests, most notably with Jaguar. Almost ended up in Jaguar with Formula One, but that didn't work out in the end. And we've now moved to the qualifying session then. So here's the list: Pirro, Turner, Priaulx, Franchitti, Brabham, Kanaan, De Ferran, Montoya, Magnussen, Castroneves, Fernandez, Montero, Herta, Tracy, Fittipaldi, Papis. That's strong. That is strong.
Who are you calling them? Who's your favourite?
I'm going Pirro. I know that's boring because he's at the top of the times after practice, but I think Pirro. Yourself?
Yeah, that's so classic. You just look at the order and just see who the quickest guy is as per. I'm going to go, I think Gilles de Ferran. I think he's a calculating guy. He's switched on. I imagine he's been processing all the info through practice. The times are so close. And I think that's where you've been duped into going for the leader. I think the wily old fox of Gilles de Ferran.
Okay. Let's see what happens then. Here's Andy Priaulx, multiple World Touring Car champion, and as he comes out of the final corner now to start his flight. Even just the way the cars are leaning, we're on board with him up in the top rides as well. See how much work he's doing as he turns into the first corner. Just a bit of understeer, then a lot of oversteer.
Looks horrendous to drive. These onboards, they're great now in the corner. Loads of understeer as he turns in, and then on gas, just struggling for grip and just fighting it. Actually, it was worse out of cops, was it? No, because it goes all the way down the straight trying to get his Brabham car down to the hangar straight, and Brooklands turns it in here, the left-hander. He's going to go fairly wide of that apex. Nice wet line there for Andy Priaulx. Tucks it in on the inside of Luffield. Still fighting. These cars just look really, really difficult to drive. Gets it straight. That was a bit better traction. Let's see what Priaulx can do. Paul Tracy's at the top at the moment.
And Franchitti goes to the top, 2/10 quicker than Emanuele Pirro. And then to the top, I think that's Juan Pablo Montoya. That is the no-name driver up into first position. Here comes Jann Magnussen, Formula One driver in 97, 98, then going on to have huge success in GTs, 4 times winner in class at Le Mans, and he goes across the line in 5th position. 4-time sports car champion as well. 4 Sebring wins for Jann Magnussen. And of course, British Formula 3 champion. I've committed to that. I can't remember the year. 94, I'm going to go with. And here he comes then down the Wellington Straight. But I think it's Montoya on pole at the moment, 600ths ahead of Dario Franchitti, with Emanuele Pirro in 3rd, Darren Turner 4th, Magnussen 5th, and Pirro now to the top of the times. It's also worth pointing out these guys, they're not sort of super rusty, because a lot of them still race things. You know, Emanuele Pirro always races at the Goodwood Festival of Speed and Members Meeting and Revival. The same is true of Franchitti and Priaulx, and Turner's always out there. Jann Magnussen still is involved in racing, so they're not that long out of the cockpit, if at all, to a degree.
No, and it's also interesting to see the lap times are actually fairly similar to what everyone else has been doing in the Tatus as well. The F4 equivalent. This is an old F1 Brabham, and they're about a second adrift with none of the downforce or grip. Here goes Montoya then, just been knocked down to 2nd place by Emanuele Pirro. Can he get back to the top? I mean, this is an absolute vintage grid in vintage cars. Montoya doesn't improve, but Andy Priaulx has just snuck ahead of him up into 2nd place.
So it is, and there goes Darren Turner now up into 2nd position as well. This car was driven by Carlos Reutemann and Carlos Pache in period in 1975. The BT44 beat this one, as Darren Turner there running in second position. Reutemann won with it at the Nürburgring. Carlos Pace's only race win at his home race in Brazil in 1975 was in one of these cars. Pirro leading on pole position, Turner second, Priaulx third, fourth for Montoya, fifth for Franchitti. Here comes Darren Turner out of Luffield. Franchitti back up into second place. Not quite enough, and Montoya goes to the top of the times then. Juan Pablo Montoya on provisional pole position. We saw Darren Turner coming out of the final corner. Has he managed to improve his lap time? Gilles de Ferran ups up into sixth place. Turner didn't improve. He remains in fourth. David Brabham goes up into seventh place. Emerson Fittipaldi in 12th position at the moment, a little bit off the pace, not quite as far off as Helio Castroneves. Don't know how many laps Helio Castroneves has done, but here comes Emanuele Pirro then. The checker flag is out. He might just get to the end of this lap, Emanuele Pirro. Provisional pole for Juan Pablo Montoya. Montoya versus Pirro as he comes out of the final corner now, across the line, and it times out. So he doesn't get the job done. Juan Pablo Montoya on pole position for the Legends race.
On pole at Silverstone for the first time since 2005, potentially. Juan Pablo Montoya, good to see. He's been quick, actually, to be fair, in the overall race the last couple of weeks, but on pole in the Legends race. And it was still so close, that field. These guys, they don't seem rusty. There was very few mistakes. The lines, everything looked very clean. They're very happy fighting the car that needs fighting. It was good stuff, that. All bodes well for a tight race.
Jan Magnussen 9th, Adrian Fernandez in 10th place. Then we've got Montero and Fittipaldi in 11th and 12th spots. Further back in the order, you've got Max Papis, then Castroneves. Colton Herta, I don't think, qualified and may not be racing. So we're about to get going then. Juan Pablo Montoya in the yellow car on pole position. This is going to be quite the fight in the Legends race. Part of the race is All-Star Esports Battle, and these are the old stars getting ready to race as the lights go green. Now, good getaway, from Emanuele Pirro, carving into the lead of the race, goes ahead of Juan Pablo Montoya. So Pirro leads, Montoya's hit him. Round they both go at turn one. It's like 1973 as they all hit into each other on the exit of Copse Corner, and I would classify that as not having gone well.
Carambolage, that was absolute. And it all came from that man, Juan Pablo Montoya, who's resumed right at the back, just getting into the back of Emanuele Pirro, who had the better start. Montoya just tipped him into the spin. They got such lack of grip already. They got a bit of a slide on it. It's very difficult to catch. And then everyone else just shunting into those two stricken cars. And, with the few that snuck through with Franchitti, Turner and Priaulx, and they're the top three right now.
So Dario Franchitti leading at the end of lap 1 of 11. He's 7 tenths in second ahead of Darren Turner in second place. Andy Priaulx's in third spot. David Brabham is fourth. Adrian Fernandez is in fifth place. Herta sixth. De Ferran seventh. Canaan eighth. Pirro ninth. Fittipaldi in 10th position. And here's a look at the replay, Jolyon.
Yeah, so it's just there, Montoya. It's just a little tiny tap on the back of Pirro. Really not much, but then everyone just drills into him. And I'll tell you what, I think he's glad that it's a sim race only from that one. That was a pretty hefty contact, about 5 times.
Yeah, that was a big one. My reference to 1973 was the Woodcote corner crash for Jody Scheckter that annihilated a lot of the field. But Dario Franchitti out in front then, 6 tenths of a second ahead of Darren Turner. And then it's a second back to Andy Priaulx in third position as they come across the line to start lap 3 of 11 now, into the right-hander of Copse Corner. Franchitti have raced at Silverstone a huge amount since moving to the German Touring Car Championship, the DTM, in the mid-90s after a little bit of British F3 and other junior single-seater series, whereas Darren Turner will have had a lot of time at Silverstone. Franchitti does do some track days around Silverstone these days. In fact, I think he did one quite recently anyway. But Franchitti into the left-hander now. And Turner's staying with him here.
Yeah, well, didn't Franchitti start getting back into sim racing using Darren Turner's company, his base performance simulators? So now the two of them are running 1-2 and just about managing to drop Andy Priaulx, who's still doing a good job in third. But yeah, they're two of the younger legends probably in the field, Franchitti and Darren Turner, and doing a good job. But then how can they be so consistent in these difficult cars? That's going to be difficult and under huge pressure for Dario Franchitti out front in particular.
Now this is Tony Kanaan running in 7th position. He is trying to fight his way past Bryan Herta. So the 49-year-old Herta, the ex-Champ Car and Indycar team owner, the 1993 Indy Lights champion, coming under a bit of pressure from Tony Kanaan. Down into Brooklands. Oh, he's gone for it there, Kanaan. No, not quite. But a great fight between Herta and Kanaan. And we've seen Colton Herta out, Bryan Herta's son, in a lot of races so far. So great to have him in the fight. Max Papis is there, running in 10th place, right up behind Tiago Monteiro. The Portuguese racer Monteiro, just in front of the Italian Max Papis, 5-time Le Mans podium finisher, 3-time Champ Car race winner Papis, up against Tiago Monteiro, former Formula 1 driver for Jordan.
Former podium finisher for Jordan in US in 2005, Tiago Monteiro. Some serious Formula 1 pedigree. Just holding off Max Papis then in the battle for ninth. Someone's rejoining there, and that's
Pirot. So Emanuele Pirot has made a mistake at Beckett's, has rejoined the track, and who's that? Spinning back onto the circuit. It's all sorts of chaos further back. Is that, I think that was was it Franchitti? Him and Turner are very close together. No, I think he's still going, Dario Franchitti. It looked like his sort of blue-purpley car. Brabham is up into 3rd place, battling with Andy Priaulx, but Franchitti still leading as they come across the line to start lap 6 of 11.
So in all of that, Franchitti's just opened up a bit more of a gap. Here's a move from Bryan Herta on the back of Max Papis, but he chooses not to have a lunge into Cobbs. Be bold at any time. Here we go. He's still very close, though. Look to the inside at Beckett's. That'll do. Too deep, though, on the brakes. And Papis straight back through. Really good racing all the way down. And very respectful between these two as well. 8th and 9th, Papis and Bryan Herta.
But here's Pirot getting past Tiago Monteiro. So Emanuele Pirot up into 5th position. Tiago Monteiro down into 6th place as Pirot tries to climb back up the order. He's got 10 seconds to get to Adrian Fernandez out in front. Franchitti still leading as he starts lap 7 of 11. Darren Turner in 2nd spot, 1.3 seconds back. David Brabham is in 3rd position, 4th for Fernandez, 5th for Pirot, Monteiro, Magnussen, Papis, Herta and Montoya. The rest of the top 10. Yellow flag in sector 1, so someone's had a little bit of a moment.
I think it's Bryan Herta's just dropped back and plumb last right now as well. So that's Bryan Herta somewhere in that battle has dropped to the back. He was with Max Papis, wasn't he? Really, really close. And Montoya now is on his charge with no name, and he's just passed Papis on the times. So Montoya back up to 8th, but still 5 seconds off Emanuele Pirot, the man he hit when they were leading the race off the line.
Lap 8 of 11, Franchitti leading 1.1 seconds ahead of Darren Turner in 2nd place. Then it's David Brabham here in 3rd position. A handful of Formula 1 starts for David Brabham with the SimTech team. Has since gone on to, well, and before that as well, raced in all sorts of things as David Brabham, the 54-year-old Australian, a 3-times Le Mans winner. Round goes Jan Magnussen. He and Tiago Monteiro coming together, and that is 2 places gained for Juan Pablo Montoya, who's now back up into, well, he was back up into 6th place, but then he ended up in the gravel. So Montoya dropping down the order. Up in the top right, you are on board, I think, with Dario Franchitti, but Magnussen having a little bit of a spin, but still holds on to 6th place after all that.
Yeah, and Montoya, I think, lost it all on his own, trying to avoid both Magnussen and whoever he hit. I can't remember now. But where's Andy Priaulx gone? Priaulx was the man in 3rd, and he's just vanished off our timing screen. So maybe a DNF for Andy Priaulx, which has put David Brabham up into 3rd place.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So Andy Priaulx maybe in a little bit of trouble somewhere, or has had a bit of a disconnect. Lap 9 of 11, Dario Franchitti leading, still just 1 second ahead. Thiago Monteiro super late on the brakes, trying to get past Max Papis for 7th position. And Franchitti still leading, the second clear of Darren Turner. They're all starting to spread out a little bit. But this is the thing, whoa, late in the day, Monteiro up the inside of Max Papis, and that's 7th place.
Nice move there. Late in the day, didn't want to show anything to Papis, so Papis would defend it, just dived out, nice and clean move for Monteiro. And of course it was him that got binned off by Jann Magnussen on the last lap as well. So he's making up for a bit of lost ground. And they're both back to where they were pretty much, 6th and 7th.
Now the interesting thing here is whether these guys are going to get the bug, and whether they'll be, we'll have a Legends race every weekend. Oh, there's someone arriving backwards into Brooklands. And it was Brabham. It was David Brabham, spun around and has lost 3rd place now to Adrian Fernandez. We're on board with Dario Franchitti, though, starting the final lap of the race. Lap 11 of 11 for the Scotsman.
Doing everything right so far. Dario Franchitti, still 1.2 seconds. Can't afford to put a wheel wrong at the moment. But he hasn't for 10 laps. Still sliding it into Beckett and onto the back straight. That's Emerson Fittipaldi, who he's trying to put a lap on but doesn't need to, just ahead. So Franchitti still with no one ahead in terms of race performance. There's more cars rejoining. That's Brian Herta coming out of Brooklands. But here we go, Franchitti, one more corner.
Through the final corner at Luffield, and then the first Legends race of the race's all-star esports battle. It's going to be Dario Franchitti that wins again, once again on the top step of the podium. Franchitti victorious at Silverstone, 1.2 seconds ahead of Darren Turner in 2nd place, and Adrian Fernandez is going to finish in 3rd position, just ahead of David Brabham, who will be kicking himself for that spin down at Brooklands. 5th for Emanuele Pirro, after he took pole 2nd on the grid, wasn't he? And then took the lead and then was spun around by Montoya. Jann Magnussen in 6th place. Thiago Monteiro will be in 7th position. And yeah, let's hope these drivers get the bug and then want to do it again, I guess.
Yeah, it was good stuff. The level was really high, particularly the top 2 or 3, including Priaulx, who vanished. But Franchitti and Turner, really good pace, consistency, and never making any mistakes despite having a lot of pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. So Franchitti wins, and it is 2nd for Darren Turner, 3rd for Adrian Fernandez, 4th for David Brabham, 5th for Emanuele Pirro, 6th for Jann Magnussen, Jules de Ferran, 11th. Emerson Fittipaldi, after only 2 hours practice, that's a good effort to get to the end, quite frankly. I know that sounds a little bit patronizing, but the 73-year-old did a very good job there. But it is Franchitti, Turner, Fernandez, Brabham, and Pirro who are the winners in that race. Who are the top 5 anyway? But Franchitti, Turner, and Fernandez are on the podium. That was good stuff, and a great car as well. It was great seeing them slide around, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know what? I would like to see the other guys, all the regulars in the... It looked just understeering into every corner, and then pretty much at mid-corner, you just get a snap of oversteer that you never get out of whilst you're trying to get on the throttle. So that was really cool. And I don't know how the young guys would adapt to that, because you get so used to driving now with planted grip. If you have a little bit of understeer, a little bit of oversteer, now you're talking about just a minute correction on the steering wheel, let alone what these guys have just had, which is armfuls of opposite lock every corner.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. I think we've got Emanuele Pirro to talk to us now. Emanuele, I mean, a shame about the start, but you had a good race back through the order.
Yeah, well, I would like to say bloody South Americans, with all due respect, because Juan Pablo just had a very optimistic braking on turn 1. I was happy with the start. It was good, and then I had a collision with Tony Kanaan. But apart from this, it was really great. And the old cars are so cool, just the power slide, and I really enjoyed it very much. Often I thought I would have liked to be a racing driver of the 60s and the 70s, and I can only confirm that. Thank you guys for that.
Great, thank you, Emanuele. Did you enjoy it? Would you do more racing, do you think?
Yeah, I've lost a few hair, which there are not many left on top of my head, but yes, and especially with all the other guys. I mean, all of them were good friends and very good drivers. So especially Emmo Fittipaldi, so much respect for him joining the race with us. Lots of IndyCar drivers, just unbelievable. So I really hope there will not be many occasions because, of course, the reason why we're all free is because of this world situation that nobody's really wishing for. But yeah, the answer is yes. I would like to do more.
And if you were we know you're a driver steward in the Formula One races. What would you have said about Montoya's move? Would you have given him a penalty, do you think?
Well, first of all, I hope you noticed that I never left the track, which wasn't easy. And talking about stewards, there's a difference between aggressive driving and dirty driving. So I just think Juan Pablo is an aggressive driver, and he was optimistic, but this is real racing. We had a lot of fun, and it was really great. And for me, it was really a treat to race against and with all the other guys of such a caliber. So yeah, pat on the shoulder to everybody. No penalties, no drive-throughs, and one beer. Let's say one Corona beer for everybody.
Okay, great. Well, it was a treat to watch it, Emanuele. Thank you so much for being part of it. And we'll see you soon.
I really enjoy watching the other races too. Take care.
Great. Thank you, Emanuele. So, Emanuele Pirro then in the Legends race, finishing back in 6th place after being hit by Montoya. Didn't pull his punches about Montoya's driving, did he?
No, I thought you were going to open a real can of worms there. You had been in the limelight as well in the last 12 about the driver's aggression towards him, but it was great to hear from them and just how much they're enjoying it. The same with Emerson Fittipaldi before the race. 2 hours of practice and still going, and the same for Emanuele. They're all loving it. It sounds.
The Legends race.
When can I class as a legend? I don't know why I'm asking your approval on this. This is not probably the right person to ask.
You do not want to ask the YouTube chat whether Jolyon Palmer counts as a motor racing legend, because that's not going to go well.
Off. See you later.
I'm still here, Jack, if you need me. I'm still here.
Yeah, Sadokist, you're not going to throw a childish strop, are you? What did you make of the Legends race?
Oh, I think there's so many takeaways. I think Pirro summed it up brilliantly. He always said he would like to have raced in the 60s and 70s in one of those cars, and now he can say that he confirms that. That's what sim does. It gives us the chance to experience racing that otherwise we wouldn't get it, and very much is the case with all of these drivers on track. And to what Jolyon said earlier as well, I come from Counter-Strike. I'm very passionate about racing. People know that I'm involved in it, and they always ask me, what is it? What's about racing that you like? And I always describe it as ballet with a monster. You're trying to be so accurate and so precise with a hunk of metal and a ton of power on top of asphalt. Those cars completely epitomize that. And I think it's so cool to watch them and get to drive that in sim. And you're right, those are absolute monsters. I was impressed by the caliber. But I think the biggest takeaway of all, Jack, is that Fittipaldi's now my favorite over you. Sorry, Jolyon, you're third for the commentators race.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I'm going to see whether Dario picks up here. He might not, and that'll be awkward if he blanks.
I think you probably taught him everything he knows, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Hello, Dario. You're live on the YouTube at the moment. How was that for you? Okay, and what did you make of Juan Pablo's move into turn 1?
I was sitting there going, are we starting the race on the green flag rather than lights? Oh, so better go. And then they took each other out, and then it was just not making a mistake. As I could see Darren in the mirrors.
He put you under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, he did. Every time I'd make a slight mistake, he was getting closer. So I just, I didn't want to mess up. It was really good fun though. We were all talking about how much fun it was, and we're all making arrangements already for next week.
And a winner again.
Yeah, well. See, I told you I was all right, Jackie.
No, I believed you. All right. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.
See you later. Thank you.
So there we go. Dario Franchitti on the phone. Modern technology, eh?
That's an unorthodox interview, that is, if ever I've seen it.
What did you say, sorry?
An unorthodox interview. Straight out of the car and on the...
Well, I knew he'd be around because he texted me saying, I'm going for a celebratory beer. So I thought I'd get the call in before the beers started.
You should have called after the beers.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry if that was not... You couldn't really hear him at the start. My apologies. I couldn't quite figure out where to put the speaker to get the sound. But there we go. We got it in the end. Right. Grand final underway. And we've got 4 minutes left in qualifying. And as we've seen previously, we're going to have a lot of laps in this qualifying session, aren't we? So I think this man's got to be... I'm doing my classic of picking the guy who was the fastest for pole position. But Kevin Siggy, Rudy van Buren, and James Baldwin, the three winners of the three heats.
Yeah, Siggy's been absolutely rapid, though, hasn't he? He had more competitive heat, full of sim racers. Van Buren made light work of Heat 1, which had some very competitive real races in it. Stoffel Vandoorne tried to run him close, but ultimately couldn't. But Siggy's been so quick, and it was the same last week. He was there or thereabouts, but he is right now 9 thousandths down on Van Buren, but that's just one lap in.
Wow. And so after one lap, the top four are separated by less than a second. Baldwin is less than a tenth. Baldwin is in 5th place, and we've got 6th for Kasdorp, 7th for Eng, 8th for Berliak, 9th for Guenther, 10th for Stoffel Vandoorne. As they come through the right-hander at Woodcote. This is Wolfgang Reip across the line. Currently hasn't set a lap time, and he jumps up into 13th place. So the top real driver at the moment is Philipp Eng in 7th position, less than 2 tenths away from Rudy van Buren. That's a good lap.
Yeah, and look how close it is from Vandoorne in 11th to Reip in 13th. There is 2 thousandths of a second, and now Ed Jones, the three of them, super close. Wisniewski now to the top, ahead of Van Buren, Siggy, and Bono Huis. Philipp Eng up to 5th, doing a really good job, still within a tenth and a half. And then James Baldwin, super close.
So here we go, 2 minutes to go. Wisniewski now quickest on a 50.3. Van Buren 2nd, Siggy 3rd, Huis 4th, Philipp Eng up into 5th place, Baldwin 6th, Kasdorp, Berliak, Vandoorne, and Eastwood. The rest of the top 10. Expecting a bit more from Danny Juncadella, 13th at the moment. We're watching Bono Huis, or House, if you are going to be cross at me. And he is currently 4th quickest. Here comes Wisniewski, quickest at the moment on a 50.3. Any improvement this time around across the timing line at Silverstone, and remains on a 50.364, because the gaps are so tight. As James Baldwin goes 3rd, the gaps are so tight that it must be impossible to find huge chunks of time in a qualifying session like this.
Yeah, there's only 4 corners, remember, to really make it. Copse, Beckett's, and then Brooklands and Luffield at the end of the lap. If you make any slight mistake in any of them, you won't improve your time. The field's just so competitive, and the field is so tight. Siggy is now just less than 100th of a second away from Van Buren, but instead of being 2nd, he's going to be 4th and have a lot more work to do for the race.
Sorry, so I've just seen a very funny tweet and now I've lost it, but someone said that David Brabham in that last race definitely won the Constructors' Championship. Doug Ellison, that's what it was. Very good joke. A shake of the head from James Baldwin as he comes across the line. Only 4th quickest. Didn't improve on that lap, and he's come to a halt. So also these guys will only put a certain amount of fuel in. So that's it for Wisniewski. It's it for Baldwin and Siggy. Huis is in 2nd place. Rudy van Buren in 3rd. Looks like those two and Philipp Eng are the only real front runners that have enough fuel to go for one more run. Here they come into the left-hander, Bono Huis. tenth of a second away, well, 600ths away from Wisniewski. That looked a bit leery.
Yep, he's improved right at the end, Bono Huis, to even be second, to get the checker flag now. Will he just about get a time in, and can he improve to go ahead of Wisniewski? No.
So, Wisniewski on pole position. Bono Huis in second place. Third for Rudy van Buren. Fourth for James Baldwin. Fifth for Kevin Siggy. Philipp Eng in sixth place is the top of the real race drivers. Here we go then. Let's take a look at the grid for the grand final of the race's All-Star Esports battle. Nikodem Wisniewski on pole position. Bono Huis alongside him on the front row of the grid. Rudy van Buren is third. James Baldwin is in fourth position. Fifth on the grid, Kevin Siggy. Sixth, Philipp Eng. Seventh, Yuri Kasdorp. Eighth for Danny Junkadea in the end. So still not bad and very much in the fight with the sim racers. Then we've got Peter Berliak in ninth place. Stoffel Vandoorne completes the top 10. Charlie Eastwood in 11th place. Max Guenther is in 12th spot. The youngest ever race winner in Formula E. Ed Jones in 13th. Wolfgang Reip in 14th position. Esteban Gutiérrez, 15th, ahead of Nicki Thiim. And then in 17th position is Bruno Spengler. James Davison in 18th. Gabby Chaves in 19th position. This is going to be a really entertaining grand final in the race's all-star esports battle at Silverstone. Wait for the lights. 22 laps this one. Wisniewski on pole. Huis in second. Van Buren third. Away they go. Good start from Wisniewski. Bono Huis doesn't really challenge him down towards the first corner. In fact, the top 7 pretty much all just slot in together as they swing to the right-hander for the first time and let the slipstreaming battle commence. But again, the pole sitter, Wisniewski, has just got that little bit of a margin over Bono Huis. We're on board in the inset with Kevin Siggy, I think, losing a place to Kasdorp. So Kasdorp on the right-hand side, Siggy trying to get back. Someone is all over the place on the grass on the exit of Beckett's, but Wisniewski it is who is leading the way. Huis in second, goes in a little bit deep. Van Buren third, Baldwin fourth, Siggy fifth.
Yeah, Huis didn't need to be having a look at the inside of Wisniewski there in Oaklands. That's cost him a little bit of time and put him back towards Van Buren, because until that he was right with the race leader, but he's coming back now in the slipstream, so less than 3 tenths away. And now we have got a race on at the front. Wisniewski's not done enough to get away. And now the slipstream should just help Huis, Van Buren, Baldwin, Siggy and Kasdorp all keep with Wisniewski out front.
Lap 2 of 22. Out onto the Wellington straight. Down towards Brooklands. Wisniewski in the lead in the blue car. Bono Huis in second place in the green. Third is the red of Rudy van Buren that you're riding on board with in the top right. There's a move for fourth position. Kevin Siggy going past James Baldwin. Baldwin tries to hang on around the outside and can't get it done. So Kevin Siggy up into fourth spot now.
And remember how quick Siggy was in his heat. This is he's on a charge. He's start, but now up to fourth place, and that's just put a bit of a break in the front runners. There's the top 3, then a gap, then Kevin Siggy, who needs to find about 8 tenths to get onto the back of Van Buren, who's very close to Bono Huis now. This time, lap 3 down towards Beckett. Bono Huis still with Wisniewski though. That will help him defend with a bit of a slipstream down the hanger straight here.
Here they come towards Brooklands once more. Nicki Thiim out of the race. There's a bit of defensive driving further back in the order. I think that's the 7th place. That is Eng and Berliak battling it out. Now into the right-hander of Luffield and out across the line. Wisniewski 3 tenths of a second ahead of Bono Huis in second place, who's 3 tenths ahead of Rudy van Buren. If anything, those top 3 have made a little bit of a gap as they come into turn 1. You can see from those high camera angles the difference, can't you? Because Huis was closer to Wisniewski on the way into the corner, but then Van Buren closed in on the way out. And he goes wide into Beckett's, and that'll give him a good run on Huis as they come out over the Wellington straight again.
Yeah, I think Huis might be under a bit of pressure now at the end of this straight. Siggy is catching the back of these 3 in front, I think, very, very slowly. But if they start fighting, they're going to fall back into the hands of Kevin Siggy and really open themselves up for attack. Bono Huis there was a bit wide as well into Brooklands, so that's just allowing every time Wisniewski just to extend the gap as they come out of Luffield to start another lap, and means he's not under huge pressure, and it's always Bono Huis who's under more pressure from Rudy van Buren just behind.
Into turn one. Quarter of a second between them. Only half a second covering the top three. This is going to be tense stuff. Yuri Kastorp is now ahead of James Baldwin. So Baldwin sliding back a little bit. Got overtaken by Kevin Siggy, now by Kastorp, and the runaway winner from Heat 2 is struggling a little bit in this third one. Meanwhile, Rudy van Buren is in the battle for the lead of the race. To Luffield. Oh, and is that Wisniewski going round? I think it is. Wisniewski's on the grass, the race leader, and Rudy van Buren leads the way. Rudy van Buren is in the lead, Huis into second. Was there contact at Luffield? We'll try and get you a replay of that. But whatever the who did what to whom, it's Rudy van Buren leading the way. Huis in second. Yuri Kastorp has a bit of a twitch in fourth place, but all of a sudden, things go very, very badly wrong for Wisniewski, who drops all the way down to 8th position.
Yep, here we go then. Here's the replay. So Wisniewski was defending, and then spin is he by Bono Huis, and we saw that move too. And it's just that nose in a Luffield. It always happens. You turn in, you lose your front wing. And for that time round, it was Wisniewski who was the real loser. Bono Huis has just retaken the lead from Rudy van Buren, so he's got away with it. Wisniewski's gone from what was the lead down to 8th place. His race is in tatters.
So here they come into the first corner, and Yayovsky's just put an interesting message on the YouTube chat. But Bono Huis in front, Rudy van Buren in second place, and Van Buren now is under pressure from Kevin Siggy, who's climbing back up through the order.
Yeah, Siggy's a real threat here. Van Buren went a bit wide on the exit of turn 1. Here comes Siggy, who's been really quick, won their heat quite easily. Is he going to look for the inside? Not quite into Brooklands that time. Had a little think, but in the end, just a bit of diversion tactics. And Kastorp is right with them as well. So we've now got a 4-car train for the lead. And Bono Huis is not getting away right now because the gap's still 3/10. He's not able to break the toe at that distance.
Lap 7 of 22. At the moment, Philipp Eng is the leader of the professional drivers. He's in 6th spot at the moment. A very good run this from Philipp Eng. Danny Juncadella is in 10th place ahead of Ed Jones and Stoffel Vandoorne, but it's Philipp Eng who is the driver who's the most up and in the mix with everybody else. And in fact, he's not too far away from James Baldwin, actually, Philipp Eng. This is a really good run from the Austrian former Porsche Super Cup champion. But now, Huis is under pressure from Rudy van Buren. He overtook him a couple of laps ago, and now Van Buren back on the attack. Kevin Siggy running in 3rd place ahead of Yuri Kastorp in 4th position through Luffield again. And we saw Huis defended a train of cars in his heat. He's got to do it now for the win in the final.
Yeah, even James Baldwin in 5th is getting back towards the top 4 as well. 4 are clearly but Baldwin in 5th is catching them slowly, and even the top 4 now are pairing off as well. Siggy right now not able to make inroads. He's gone really wide, as has Van Buren, and that should be Kastorp with the inside for 3rd place there down towards Beckett.
Kastorp has it, but Siggy's very late on the brakes, runs it round the outside, somehow holds on to that 3rd position. Bono Huis up in front, only 4/10 ahead of Rudy van Buren, who's going to try and get through, but he's just a little bit too far adrift. Siggy goes defensive as Kastorp in the red car goes to the outside, but he can't make that move stick. We're approaching half race distance. We're not there yet as we come through Luffield corner and out again onto the start-finish straight.
So still Bono Huis under a huge amount of pressure from Rudy van Buren. And Siggy and Kastorp at the moment still not able to pressure the top 2, still slightly in their own fight. But that because Kevin Siggy just dropped away, and this time it's Kastorp that's gone a little bit wide at the exit of turn 1. That would be punished in true racing by a black and white flag or for exceeding track limits. But it actually just seems to slow them down when they do go wide. So now Kastorp's dropped back a little bit, and still Van Buren's pressuring Huis now down towards Brooklands.
So we're 10 laps in, and the top 8 cars are covered by 3.8 seconds. It's incredibly close racing here in the race's all-star esports battle. Bono Huys leading the way, Rudy van Buren in second position, Kevin Siggy third, just 0.8 of a second between them. Esteban Gutiérrez has just got ahead of Bruno Spengler in the battle for 14th position. And really, Jann de Vries is just a little bit adrift in 9th position. I think Philipp Eng is doing a really good job. Out onto the Wellington straight again. Lap 11 of 22.
Top group now. We've got the top 4, but now Baldwin is pretty much equity as well. They're all closing up, and that's because Bono Huys is just looking like he might extend the gap now. Half a second is as big as it's been, and Van Buren is having to look a little bit behind him. That might help Bono Huys just to extend and make a little break for it, which could be for the win. If he could break the toe, he looks like he's got the pace to beat these guys behind, but the slipstream just keeping them closer.
Lap 12 of 22. Siggy, does he fancy the look into Beckett's? Oh, not quite. Rudy van Buren covering the inside, and all of a sudden, Huys's advantage is just going to creep up to a second now. So he's made a bit of a break at the front. Now they're going to go side by side with Siggy on the outside in the grey car. Can he get all the way around the outside? This contact, Siggy's off, and he's lost the rear, got on the grass. And Kevin Siggy goes spinning down the order. Many people's favourite for the win is out of contention.
Real shame that. Siggy on the outside, and it was Van Buren on the inside, and they seem to just come together. Siggy turning in and just catching Van Buren wheel to wheel, and Siggy's the real loser from that. The real winner is Bono Huys, who's now got a 1.5 second advantage. He's now looking like he's broken the toe, and the battle that we can see now is Van Buren holding back Karsdorp, and that's now the battle for second with Kevin Siggy, who was looking so quick. He won Heat 3 so well, but spinning down the order, and it's all come undone for him as well. So we've lost Wisniewski, and now we've lost Kevin Siggy as well.
This is turning into a race of attrition, isn't it? Lots of action at the front of this final. Rudy van Buren then in second place ahead of this man, Yuri Karsdorp, coming through Luffield corner and out onto the start-finish straight again to start lap 14 of 22. And there's just 3 or 4 tenths of a second between them as they come across the start-finish line now. Lap 14 of 22. 2 red cars doing battle over second place. Van Buren and Karsdorp. James Baldwin's in 4th, and actually only just in front of Philipp Eng here. Eng's got a chance of squeezing into the top 4 if he has a good run.
He's doing a great job. Just, was he half a second away from James Baldwin at the moment? So Eng is flying, and he's actually getting a good slipstream now on the back straight. Still a fair way to go in this race, the longer grand final. Karsdorp not quite close enough on the back of Van Buren this time, but Eng is coming with Baldwin, and they're all going to close up in the battle for second.
Lap 15 of 22 about to begin. We'll be back next week with more action from the Race All-Star Esports Battle, and the Legends race will be back as well, I believe. As you heard Dario Franchitti saying earlier, they've all been talking about getting ready for next week, and I'm sure these guys will be back as well in this race in R Factor 2, which really is the most realistic esports that we have out there at the moment, in my opinion. Lap 15 of 22. Huys leading, 1.6 seconds clear now of Rudy van Buren. So he is really sprinting away, the multiple Formula Sim racing champion, winner of the Visa Vegas E-Race, or the biggest prize in the history of sim racing ever. Bono Huys took away, I can't remember how much it was, but it was like a lot of money. Rudy van Buren second, Karsdorp third. It was $1 million something, dollars, I guess. It was $1 million prize pool, wasn't it? And I should remember, really. I was there, but you tend to forget stuff in Vegas, but that's a story for a different time. Lap 16 of 22. Bono Huys leading, Rudy van Buren second, 3 tenths ahead of Karsdorp still. This second and third place battle is going to run and run.
Yeah, and it's all closing up more and more. Bono Huis is just loving it, though. Checking out just 10th at a time, but it's another lap ticked away and the gap extending. And all the way, I think Karsdorp's got more pace than Van Buren, but he's not able to make a move just yet. They're still so close, the two red cars. Baldwin's not quite able to bridge that gap and get amongst them. And Philipp Eng's just dropped back slightly into the clutches of Berliak as well. And Wisniewski, of course, is recovering from that spin that he had fighting Bono Huis early on. So Huis survived that, and now he's looking very, very good with 5 laps to go to take the win.
17 of 22. A little bit wide there for James Baldwin, but he has managed to gap Philipp Eng a little bit. 200,000 it was for winning the Visa Vegas E-race. For Bono Huis. So
it's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. I didn't get 200,000 for commentating. I got to meet Shaq though. It was quite cool. Lap 17 of 22. Here is Peter Berliak just ahead of Wisniewski, who was the pole man, the race leader, the front runner. He's going past Peter Berliak here. It's on a bit of a mission, actually, and to get back up into 6th place is a good effort. Gabby Chaves and Max Guenther fighting over 16th position. But, yeah, he's... Wisniewski back up into 6th spot, but he's about 1.3 seconds off the back of Philipp Eng. Here's the battle for 2nd place. Is there going to be a move here down into Brooklands? Not this time. Yuri Kastorp just biding his time, I guess.
Yeah, well, he hasn't got a lot of time left to go. I think probably he realises that unless Bono Huis makes a big mistake out front, second's the best he's going to get right now, because Rudy van Buren is just driving a tidy race, but dropping back all the way from the race leader. But yeah, Kastorp just a bit frustrating because he's so close every time, still within half a second, getting that slipstream, which is helping him get closer and closer, but never quite close enough to make a bit of a late braking move.
We're on lap 19 of 22. And if anything, he seems a little bit further away on this lap, does Yuri Kastorp. Out onto the start-finish. I've caused all sorts of chaos by saying R Factor 2 is the most realistic. Now everybody's arguing about what the best sim is, but keep up to date with the race on therace.com for all your esports news, and at We Are The Race on social media to keep abreast of what's going on. Wisniewski now, I think that's a replay of him going past Peter Berliak, isn't it? And up into 6th position. Closing in a little bit on Philipp Eng. Not quite close enough to make a move yet, but we're on lap 20 of 22. Bono Huis's lead is 1.5 seconds ahead of Rudy van Buren, and to be honest, Van Buren is now about 7/10 ahead of Yuri Kastorp in 3rd place. So it's dropped away a little bit, that gap, and it's starting to settle down a little bit. So Kastorp maybe not biding his time.
No, probably used it all up, not passing Rudy van Buren. Where the tyres way for Kastorp as well. The longer race maybe has a bit of tyre wear creeping in, and Van Buren suddenly is just finding himself much more settled in 2nd place. He was in that fight for the lead earlier on with Wisniewski and Bono Huis. Dropped back away from the slipstream and has never basically made it back up to Bono Huis. So Huis is he's having a stroll now out front with a lap and a half still to go. And now Van Buren as well in 2nd place, just easing himself clear of Kastorp. Nearly a second now, that gap.
So a reminder that there will be another Legends race next week. So make sure you join us for that here on The Race as well. But Bono Huis, as we go fully on board with him here. So this is the view that Bono Huis has and these sim racers have at home as he comes into turn 1. Now through the right-hander of Luffield and out onto the start-finish straight again. Bono Huis across the line to start the final lap of the race. Lap 22 of 22 in the grand final of the race's All-Star Esports Battle. Going to be 2 Dutch winners in a row. After Rudy van Buren took victory last time, and in fact, Van Buren's going to slot into a second place here, isn't he? So that's going to be a win and a second. He's very much a front runner, winner of the world's fastest gamer, the first ever edition of the world's fastest gamer. The third edition is going to be starting soon, so download Gear Club to get involved in that on iOS and Android. But here now comes Bono Huis into the final corner. A race of attrition, this one. Lots of action up at the front. And it's Bono Huis, the young Dutchman, who has emerged on top to take the win in round 3 of the race's All-Star Esports battle. Bono Huis victorious again. Second across the line for Rudy van Buren. And it is going to be third for Yuri Kasdorp. Great drive from Bono Huis. And a good fight for second and third place. But there's going to be a lot of discussion about that move for Bono Huis taking the win as he got up the inside of Wisniewski. But he takes the win. Rudy van Buren second, Kasdorp third, Baldwin fourth, and Philipp Eng, shout out to him, 5th place in front of Wisniewski, Burlak, and some of the other sim drivers.
Yeah, a good job from Philipp Eng. He's our pro today, really, and he's been really quick all day through the heat and the final. I think Bono Huis, in the end, he had enough of a nose, probably, but it was just a risky move, really. Wisniewski turned in, Huis had part of his car there, and that is the risk you pay, really, when you turn into Luffield. In reality, there's no way Bono Huis probably wouldn't have lost a front wing and had to pit, but he got away with it here. Wisniewski didn't, and marched on to the win.
Yeah, so that is a look at the results. Nicki Thiim, the only non-finisher, actually. Gabby Chaves in 18th place. Bruno Spengler, 17th. Max Guenther, 16th. So I think when it was a bit closer, I don't know, I feel like the pro drivers were a little bit quieter in that race in the end. But actually, maybe it was because we had such a good fight up at the front.
Yeah, Eng did a really good job. He was trying to keep James Baldwin in his sights and did pretty well. The top 3 were really strong, plus Wisniewski, plus Kevin Siggy. And they were last week as well. When it gets to the final, they've been so strong. Remember, though, Felix Rosenqvist didn't race this time. He's been really good of the real races so far. And Juncker had to have a bit of a... Well, he got through in the last chance qualifier, didn't he? So a bit more pressure and never really made massive inroads. But really impressed with Philipp Eng there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we can now hear from our race winner, Bono Huis. I think is waiting to talk to us. Bono, can you hear me?
Yep. Hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. That was a busy race, I guess. First of all, talk us through the action at Luffield with Wisniewski.
Yeah, feels good to finally win something again. It's been a while. Start was okay. I tried to follow Wisniewski into turn 1, turn 2, and try and get a run on him turn 3, but it didn't work out. Nearly crashed already in the first lap, and then it was difficult to stay in the dirty air because you lose a lot of downforce on the front into turn 1, so that's the place where you want to be close. But yeah, I could stay close for 1 lap, and I knew that this was my chance, so I tried around the outside, and he pushed me off the track already there, and then turning in for the last corner, I was already on the curb on the inside, and we made contact, and then sort of kept making contact all the way through the corner, and fortunately this time I was fine, unlike last week, and unfortunately for him he spun.
What is it that means you're sort of back at the front now?
Just like the car, really. I had a good pace as well last week at Indy, but sort of messed up qualifying there, and then just sort of was stuck in a bit of a mess and lost out by 1 spot to get to the final. But yeah, the pace felt good last week, and I really enjoyed this car. And today, from the very first lap, I really enjoyed the track as well. So the pace was there from the start.
Cool. Well, congratulations. A great win.
Thank you. Yeah, it feels good. Finally.
Great. Yeah, exactly. Finally. So great stuff. Thank you, Bono Huis, the winner. Sadokist, let's check in with you again. How did you find that? That was a good race. Plenty going on.
That was great. You could bet your Huis on that, I guess you could say. Bono's a great guy. Look, I joke with him all the time, and it's good to see him win because I know he's been getting frustrated lately that he hasn't necessarily been picking up the results. But very good race, yeah. Very much a closer race in the final, which I guess is to be expected once we've kind of weeded things out and set the order. But it wasn't a lead, it wasn't a runaway until after the contact. So it was, I think, really interesting as well to watch Van Buren. He was struggling to get out of Meggetts sort of in through the entry hook that goes onto the straight. And a lot of times he couldn't break the toe. And once he sort of fell back and gave Bono that lead, you could see he was defending over and over again. It wasn't until later in the race, I don't know if it was tires for him or if it was just a slight adjustment in line, but Siggy had the same move and actually drafted him down the straight very well. I think Van Buren maybe outbraked himself a little bit there and made contact. But I think big shout out to that was the fact that Bono broke the toe and Van Buren couldn't and got held up and basically had a train behind him for the whole race.
Yeah. Were you surprised at the amount of contact in that sim races, right?
Yes and no. I think sim racing, in some ways, you see more contact. Perhaps it's the risk factor. Perhaps it's a spatial awareness thing. Perhaps it's just the competitive edge in that they are so close. I mean, qualifying, the first 5 guys were 0.0x apart. So you've got to kind of take those chances and make those moves. So I'm not surprised. You never love to see contact. It ruins someone's day always. But hey, rubbing's racing, as they say. Maybe not in a Formula car, but fair play.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us today, Sadik. It's been a pleasure having you with us. We can hear now from Stoffel Vandoorne, who is with us, having taken part in that final. Stoffel, we didn't see a huge amount of your race, to be honest, because there was some great fights up at the front. Again, that's not a criticism. How was your race?
Yeah, my race was all right, actually. I mean, definitely not perfect, because first of all, I couldn't see the starting light, so I lost already a couple of places off the line. Then there was a little bit of carnage into turn 1, 2, got hit a couple times, and yeah, I think at some point I was like in 16th or something. So after that, we had a good comeback, made it back into the points, and then I was actually fighting with Siggy, who was fighting at the front. So yeah, when I knew that it was the fight for the last point, I didn't try to focus that much ahead anymore and just tried to bring it home in P10. Great.
Did you watch the Legends race?
I did watch it from very closely, yeah, because Gilles was sitting next to me with his mega simulator setup doing the Legend race, and yeah, I did watch it.
Okay, and what did you make of it? How did Gilles find it?
I think he enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, he spent a lot of time practicing on the simulator since yesterday. I think the key to their race was actually not to make any mistakes, and yeah, it seems like the guys that finished at the front managed that.
And we're here with Jolyon, and he's trying to work out whether he should be in the Legends race next week. Do you think Jolyon Palmer classifies as a legend?
He should be in our race. He could definitely be in our race.
There you go.
Stuff we got to answer the question.
The Legends race. Yeah, you're not the legend. You're not the legend. You can just come with the normal people.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Stoffel. See you soon.
My connection's too dodgy to commentate, let alone try and race it. I think I'd be having a bit of a panic at the disco.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd be having all sorts of discos.
Yeah, I bet. Look, you're getting discos now as the light goes down, and
we're getting into it, aren't we? Here we go. It feels a bit weird. No nat in where I am, so I've just got one light, and it seems to be making me look very jaundiced right now.
Yeah,
so apologies.
Exactly. It's a nice tan. Well, the racing's been amazing today. We've got more of it coming up next week, including another Legends race. But in part, the racing's been great thanks to UMG, which is your home for online competitive gaming with multiple forms of competitions where you can win real money and prove your racing skills. They have $2,500 up for grabs this week on Forza, and you can start playing for 25% off when you use the code THERACE. And you can sign up today at umggaming.com. So thanks for all of you for your input, and thank you for the stuff on the YouTube chat as well. As ever, it's great to have you with us. You can keep up to date with everything on the-race.com and on social media at We Are The Race on Twitter and Instagram. And if you're a racer, don't forget you can try and qualify for these races, because there are 10 spots that are open for the for just hot lapping on the server. So get yourself R Factor 2 and get involved in the action. From Jolyon Palmer and myself, Jack Nicholls. Jolyon, what's been your highlight of the day?
The Legends race. That was
Other
epic.
than your face. I think your face is now
my
the
face
highlight of the
is
day.
maybe not so epic right now, but the Legends race. What was yours, Jack?
Bono Huis getting back on the top step of the podium, and an all-Dutch podium as well. So, a good day for the Netherlands.
Lovely.
Great. Well,
yeah,
we hope to do it all again in a week's time. Maybe Palmer will have sorted out his internet. Maybe he won't have done. But thank you for bearing with us. Obviously, as you can tell, we've done 3 races now and had an entirely different setup each time. So hopefully next week we'll bring you a bit of consistency. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you follow at We Are The Race, the-race.com. And it's Bono Huis who wins the 3rd round of the race's All-Star Esports Battle. See you soon.
Welcome to the race.
And the lights are out. Great start then.
The Moto2 champion steps into the team that's dominating the championship.
I'm Scott Mitchell from the race. We're here at Barcelona.
Sebastian Vettel is fighting for his career.
There has to be a title assault, and anything less will be a failure.
Oh, and a spin!
We lost the GoPro.
Introducing UMGgaming.com. UMG is an online tournament platform who offers free-to-play ladders, prize tournaments, cash-out matches, community events, and more. UMG Gaming brings you into the action with all your favorite titles, such as Fortnite, Call of Duty, Madden, FIFA, Counter-Strike, and more. Want to experience all that UMG Gaming has to offer? Sign up today and make a free account. Experience the very best in online gaming, only with UMGgaming.com.